Hey guys, tonight we're not sailing with pirates. No sea shanties, no suspicious barrels of rum. No half-blind sailor screaming treasure at a coconut he swears is moving. Instead, we're drifting into something way stranger, way funnier, and somehow, way more painful. The wildest beauty standards humans ever endured. Not the cute kind of beauty stuff you see in modern skincare videos. We're talking about the real historical routines, the ones involving poison, bodily fluids, and at least 3 substances no sane person should ever put anywhere near their face. But before we take this quiet, gentle walk through history's most questionable beauty choices, go ahead and like the video and subscribe, but only if this kind of weird, cozy, mildly horrifying bedtime storytelling actually helps you relax. If not, that's okay. Even Renaissance beauty gurus didn't get a thumbs up from everyone, especially the ones using arsenic face powder. Leave a comment telling me where you're watching from and what time it is for you right now. It's always 2 a.m. somewhere, and if you're here, chances are you're trying to fall asleep while learning why medieval people thought swallowing raw beetles would brighten the complexion. Totally normal, happens to the best of us. Now dim those lights, switch on a fan for that soft, cozy white noise, sink into your pillow, and maybe tuck your feet under a blanket, not to protect yourself from rats this time, but because you never know when a Victorian beauty blogger might whisper, "Have you tried lead-based lipstick?" from the shadows. Unlikely. But history has taught us never to underestimate human bad decisions. Let's pause for a moment. Have you ever wondered what people used to go through just to look attractive by the standards of their time? What it felt like to dust your face with literal poison, because pale skin meant wealth? What it felt like to use bird droppings as moisturizer, because someone claimed it made you glow? What it felt like to curl your hair with boiling irons heated by fire, not electricity, while hoping you didn't accidentally set your house on fire and your eyebrows on a brief but dramatic journey into oblivion? How much pain did people accept as normal in pursuit of beauty? How far would they go to match impossible ideals created by nobles, artists, or someone who definitely needed more sleep? Tonight, we're going to drift through the world of ancient powders, Renaissance poisons, Victorian contraptions, and centuries of humans trying their absolute hardest to look perfect by standards that were downright chaotic. Not to mock them, not to judge them, but to witness it gently and to appreciate, deeply, that none of us have to rub mercury on our skin anymore. Truly a blessing. So take a slow breath in. Let the modern world ease away. And imagine a soft candlelit room, a little glass vial of something questionable, and a beauty routine that would make your dermatologist pass out. This is mildly interesting history for sleep, and these are the beautifully bizarre, occasionally dangerous stories of how humans tried to glow, sparkle, whiten, darken, smooth, and shine long before sunscreen, shampoo, or common sense existed. Settle in, close your eyes if you haven't already, and let the story begin. Chapter 1. The eyes that beauty nearly blinded, and now, as your breath settles and the modern world begins to fade into something warm and distant, let's drift quietly into a dimly lit room somewhere in Renaissance Italy, a room filled with silk, shadows, and beauty standards so dangerous you almost want to whisper. Are you sure about this? Picture this. A young Renaissance woman sits before a polished bronze mirror. The room glows with the gentle flicker of candlelight, its warm gold tones dancing across carved wooden walls, embroidered cushions, and delicate glass jars filled with mysterious substances that would make any modern dermatologist faint. Her gown is elegant, layers of soft fabric pooling around her like a painted portrait come to life. Her hair is arranged with the kind of meticulous care usually reserved for cathedral architecture. And her eyes, wide, glistening, hopeful, are fixed on the tiny glass vial she holds between her fingertips. Belladonna. Deadly nightshade, a plant known equally for its seductive beauty and its remarkable talent for killing you in extremely dramatic ways. The vial is small, fragile, almost innocent in appearance, but inside it swirls a danger that Renaissance women believed could unlock the gates of true beauty. The woman inhales slowly. She has done this before. Her mother did it before her. Her friends whisper about it between gossip and flute music. Because in this world, The ideal of beauty is enormous. Luminous eyes, eyes that shimmer, widen, sparkle like something almost divine. And Belladonna can make that happen. She tilts her head back, her breath catches. Her hand trembles not from fear, but from the anticipation of becoming just a little closer to the ideal sketched in artists' notebooks and carved into marble by candlelit sculptors. The drop falls, just one, silent, precise, landing delicately on the edge of her pupil. At first, nothing. A blink, a tightening of her jaw, a soft exhale, then slowly her pupil begins to widen. The candlelight stretches across her iris, turning her gaze into something deep, dramatic, irresistible. She looks back to the mirror. Her eyes now shine with the strange, eerie beauty of a mythical creature, part angel, part enchantress, part medical emergency waiting to happen. Outside the room, the world buzzes with merchants shouting in the streets, horses clattering over stone roads, church bells ringing the hour. Life is vibrant, bustling, real. But inside, everything narrows to this one strange ritual, a ritual built on the belief that beauty must cost something. A pinch of pain, a whisper of danger, a dance with poison. The Belladonna warms her vision. Her heart beats a little faster. Her world sharpens and blurs at the same time. She cannot entirely focus, but that only adds to her allure. The soft haze in her gaze reads as gentle, dreamy, romantic. Pain disguised as elegance. Poison disguised as charm. This was Renaissance beauty. She places the vial down carefully, like setting aside a secret. Her eyes shine like dark moons, wide enough to hold entire stories, fragile enough to break under a single wrong drop. Somewhere, a painter would see her and think he has glimpsed perfection. Somewhere, a poet would write that her eyes were deep as the night sky itself. Somewhere, a suitor dimly aware, but deeply impressed, would whisper that she looked like a vision. None of them would know that her beauty was borrowed from a poisonous flower waiting patiently in a glass bottle. So tonight, as you drift deeper into this quiet room of silk and shadow, remember this: even something deadly can appear beautiful, and even the gentlest rituals sometimes carry the soft, a shimmering edge of danger. Let the candles fade, let the room soften, let her wide, shimmering eyes watch over the moment, and breathe into the strange, delicate world where beauty was, a little enchanting and a little terrifying all at once. Chapter 2: The Glittering Abyss of Vanity. Hey guys, welcome to a journey through the dizzying depths of human vanity, a ride more twisted than the final episode of a soap opera. Tonight, we delve into the world of beauty standards so mind-boggling they could make you question your own skincare routine. Picture this: a Renaissance dame, poised in front of a mirror decorated with ornate gilding, preparing for a night out by literally putting poison in her eyes. You heard that right. Talk about a glamorous beauty hack. Spoiler alert, it's not a sustainable approach. But before we plunge into those scandalous waters, take a moment to like, subscribe, and comment, though only if you actually enjoy this absurd mix of history and hilarity. Now, dim those lights, turn on a fan, or heck, just flick a light switch if you live dangerously, and snuggle up with that old blanket that smells mildly like feet. Have you ever wondered what it would be like to greet a stranger with much more than just a friendly smile? Instead, perhaps you'd have a perfectly poised brow, but underneath that perfection, shivers of poison are coursing through your veins. What would your comfort food be if the only options were questionable concoctions from a medieval apothecary? If you had a choice between radiating beauty and perhaps losing your eyesight, literally, what would you decide? Ah, the eternal struggle. Congratulations. You've just woken up in the Renaissance, where beauty ideals were like a wild roller coaster that had definitely seen better days. The year is 1505, and you find yourself surrounded by a melange of silks, velvets, and the unmistakable scent of desperation. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it's the age of dangerous vanity, where every mirror reflects not just physical beauty, but also the absurdity of human aspiration. As you peer around the dimly lit room, you can hear the gentle rustling of fabrics as women practically drape themselves in layers of clothing, puffed sleeves, and exotic perfumes. Your senses tingle with notes of roses, and what's that? Vanilla mixed with the faint whiff of burnt hair. Welcome to a time when hair care involved leeches, and fragrance, often included the remains of last week's charcuterie board. Ah, the sweet smell of human ingenuity, or what we'll generously call innovative. But let's not get too distracted. A closer look reveals a lady in the corner, her silhouette highlighted by a flickering candle. She's applying a concoction to her eyelids, liquid poison. Mind you, because nothing says irresistible sparkle like a dash of imminent blindness. The things people do for beauty. It's like trying to bake a cake and forgetting that eggs are hazardous. Sure, you might be tempted, but then there's the lingering sense of doom. Imagine being so keen to stand out that you ignore the alarm bells ringing in your head. Though, in fairness, they probably sounded like a pleasant lute in that day and age. Women would trek to charming little apothecaries, drop their coins, and in exchange receive tiny vials of deadly liquids. Sans any caution, may blind you labels. For that glittering gaze, proclaimed the shop owner, as if he were peddling magic beans. Ever wondered what kind of Yelp review that place would get? 5 stars for the sparkle, -2 for vision loss. Speaking of sparkles and despair, let's chat about our dear friends, the Elizabethans. As your Renaissance consciousness wanders, you can see them scrubbing their faces with harsh creams made from lead and vinegar, not to mention a hefty dose of hubris. What does a glowing, porcelain complexion come at? You guessed it. A few health issues, probably a plethora of confused ailments over an unfortunate week. What's wrong with Lady Margaret? What's wrong with Lady Margaret? Ah, she's just glowing, you know, from her fondness for toxic makeup. And here's where it gets really good. Just when you start thinking that it couldn't get worse. Enter the Chinese beauty tradition of foot binding. Imagine, if you will, squeezing your feet into shoes that barely accommodate a small rat. It's like cramming into skinny jeans after Thanksgiving dinner. But instead of just immobility, you could lose a few toes here and there. Ah yes, nothing like a good shoe to remind you of both class and barely functioning toes. While your foot-bound friend struggles to find the balance between grace and sheer agony. Just picture that stew of ridiculousness swirling around you. On one side, the woman who might just trip over her own foot. On the other, a lady teetering dangerously close to admitting she can no longer see well enough to discern a turnip from a peach. It's a sight one that you can't not laugh at. In fact, you might need a herbal remedy yourself from laughing too hard. As you reflect on these great civilizations of human folly, remember, beauty is subjective, but some of these practices were not just questionable, they were downright ludicrous. When all is said and done, we can find solace in knowing that today's ideals, while often perplexing, still possess a spark of logic in comparison. Breathe easy, dear listener. The medical community has thankfully improved. At least now you can count on safety regulations without needing a side of lead in your makeup. So, as you drift into a dreamy slumber, remember the wild comic history of beauty. May your eyelids flutter gently, free from the burden of liquid peril, and let the echoes of vanity fuel your dreams. Chapter 3. A very dangerous choice. Hey guys, welcome to another riveting romp through the lush fields of human folly, where beauty, in all its enchanting absurdity, often walks hand in hand with peril. Tonight, imagine if you will, a soul so desperate to be deemed attractive that she's willing to risk her vision, her sanity, and possibly her entire existence to get there. Yes, it's like stepping into a bizarre perfume commercial that smells suspiciously of both jasmine and regret. Before we kick off this wild journey, take a moment to like, subscribe, and comment, though only if you actually delight in our wacky take on history. So dim the lights, flip on that fan, if you're feeling adventurous of course, and tuck in under your favorite blanket that may or may not have seen a few too many epic Netflix binges. Have you ever caught yourself staring at a social media post and pondered the lengths you'd go to just to capture that perfect, filtered moment? What if, instead of a light app filter, you had to douse your face in actual poison just to get that dewy glow? If you found a berry that promised beauty but bent the rules of life and death, would you pluck it from the vine or run screaming like a sensible human? Welcome, my brave listener. You've just awakened in a place where beauty is steeped in peril, specifically around 10,000 BCE, a time when plants were considered the ultimate glam squad, albeit a rather toxic one. Picture this. You're meandering through an ancient forest, The aroma of damp earth fills the air, combined with a hint of something otherworldly. Amongst the vibrant greenery, your eyes catch a deadly nightshade plant, belladonna, with its alluring purple berries twinkling like a forbidden treasure. They're beautiful, innocent looking, and definitely not the kind of thing you want to introduce to your makeup bag. But oh, how the ladies of yore would have flocked to it, clutching their dainty gloves as they selected the berries for their beauty elixirs. It's like watching someone about to eat a suspiciously vibrant mushroom that they found on a forest floor. You can't look away, and you really hope it doesn't end poorly. Let's explore this peculiar beauty ritual a bit further. Ah, the gentle rustle of fabric as you catch a glimpse of a woman, her gloves pristine, a stark contrast to the muddy backdrop of her village life. You can almost hear the whispers of her friends as she delicately selects the berries. Girl, you're going to be the envy of our entire clan. Yes, for centuries, this charming yet utterly misguided belief held fast. If you want the allure of ethereal beauty, why not try a pinch of poison? Forget the wrinkle creams and collagen-infused serums of salesmen today. In this twisted age, potent toxins were just another Tuesday. These enchanting berries promised beauty in exchange for a little ocular mischief. Who needed an Instagram filter when you had the glimmer of potential blindness at your disposal? A social media influencer of this era would definitely have amassed millions of followers for asking questions like, who wore it better? Healthy eyesight or sultry allure? Spoiler, the answer was usually neither. And while we're on the topic of questionable decisions, let's step back in time a few centuries to the luxurious courts of the Renaissance. Oh, dear listener, it was an era more extravagant than a catwalk show, if the catwalk occasionally plunged straight into a hole filled with toxic waste. The beauty standards? Up to their ears in lead-based makeup, and more drama than a Shakespearean play. Lead, vinegar, and the killer glow could easily have been a tagline for their beauty line. Imagine ladies strutting about with skin so pale you could mistake them for a walking ghost. Yes, they had a penchant for concocting face whitening powders using lead because what says radiant beauty like a dash of heavy metal. Each dose delivering a glow that could light up the darkest corners of a Tudor banquet hall, or send someone to an early grave. But hey, beauty above all, right? The irony is that these ladies wouldn't get to witness their own splendor for long, sort of like putting on a costume for a party you won't live to attend. As you navigate this wild world, let's not forget the more exotic beauty trends across the seas, like foot binding in ancient China. Just imagine squeezing your feet into shoes so tiny that they might make a toddler's sneaker look like a warm winter boot. Picture now, someone trying to balance on these tiny, stiletto-like contraptions while simultaneously wincing from pain, all in the name of upholding beauty standards that were as baffling as they were rigid. It's like those moments when you try to put on jeans after the holidays, but instead of just a bit of discomfort, you're risking your very sense of balance. Through these narratives of bizarre beauty ideals, we're reminded that the lengths society has gone to for the sake of appearance often tread perilously close to the ridiculous. Perhaps the best lesson amid this chaos is simply that beauty may come in many forms, but risking life and limb usually isn't included in the fine print. As you close your eyes and let this symphony of the absurd lull you to sleep, may your dreams be free from the burdens of beauty and the sweet whispers of nightshade's temptation. Drift away into a realm where the only toxicity you encounter is the sappy romantic plots of those very soap operas I so whimsically mentioned. Remember, at least you don't have to worry about the perils of nightly skincare routines involving hazardous materials. Sweet dreams. Chapter 4. The Crocodile Dung Chronicles. Hey guys, welcome back to another voyage through the whimsical hodgepodge of history where the pursuit of beauty could sometimes rival even the most reckless of treasure hunts. Tonight, we'll be diving into the aromatic waters of our ancestors' beauty regimens. Imagine, it's a bit like stepping into a spa where the aroma hints at both relaxation and a slight touch of ancient sewage. We're heading straight for the lavish chambers of ancient Egypt, where beauty was no mere fancy, it was an all-out, glitzy war. Before we drift any deeper, take a moment, give a little figurative wave to that like button. Backflip into the subscribe realm, and drop a comment if you're loving this history ride. But only if you genuinely enjoy it, no pressure, promise. Now, dim the lights, set your fan to a gentle slipstream, and settle in. But first, let me ask you some questions to ponder as we transition into the world of linen and luxurious baths. Have you ever considered the extremes of beauty that women once endured? What if your skincare routine involved more than simply slapping on moisturizer? What if, instead of a trip to the facialist, you found yourself in an ancient spa where the treatments were just slightly less than lethal? And most importantly, would you be willing to pay for it? Or would you instead just go home and slap a cold cucumber on your eyes like any sane person? Congratulations! You've just woken up in 1500 BCE Egypt, right when the Nile is breeding more creativity in skincare than you can shake a stick at. Picture yourself lounging in a luxurious bath, the water infused with fragrant oils that still can't hide the underlying scent of, wait for it, crocodile dung. Yes, my friend, amid the gentle lapping of water, you find yourself the muse of a beauty regime that Peter, your neighbor, would claim is totally authentic. We're talking high-status beauty here. Women, like you, adorned in fine linen, floated through opulent villas while retaining an elegance that seemingly oozed from the walls. The rich hues of gold and turquoise danced around you, perhaps accentuating that fresh coat of crocodile dung smeared across your face, the latest must-have for that dewy glow. Forget your modern face creams, this was simply the thing. Now, let's take a moment to appreciate the prelude of this scene. Soft palm leaves swaying gently nearby, transporting an intricate fragrance in the air. But among those floral notes looms the distinct essence of, you guessed it, drying croc dregs. Ah yes, there's nothing quite like the scent of ancient Nile reptiles to prep you for a night on the town. You glance sideways at your servant, who holds a ceramic jar containing a thick, dark paste. You're torn between admiration for that level of dedication and a slight urge to run away screaming. Imagine explaining that at a modern beauty convention. Why yes, we use a delightful blend of crocodilian excrement to manage wrinkles. It's completely organic. You could practically hear the gasps of horror wafting through the unprepared minds of skincare enthusiasts. As your servant slathers this elixir over your face, imagine the synchronization of senses, smooth application, a warming sensation, and then that unmistakable whiff of, well, let's just say it's an exotic perfume that nobody asked to bottle. You settle back in the tub, feeling dangerously chic. Who needs nightlife when you have the scents of ancient Egypt wafting around like a beauty pageant with prehistoric stakes? Even beyond the bathtub escapades, these beauty standards were astonishingly madcap. Much like a modern influencer mistakenly vowing to promote the benefits of powdered cockroaches for clear skin, one could say that your world was filled with a dizzying array of treatments that arguably bordered on insanity. Imagine applying a potent mixture of lead and mercury to brighten your complexion while outwardly exuding an aura of, I eat these torturous concoctions for breakfast. What would life be like for you beyond the bath time, where that delightful crustiness could be your demise? It was a realm where porcelain white skin was coveted, often adorned with elaborate jewelry, while a sun-kissed glow was synonymous with hard labor. The cotton candy irony drifts through the air, just like the heady scent of moldy grapes. You could be as delicate as a flower, as long as you didn't mind being occasionally mistaken for one of the local corpses. Ah, and do you not envy your servant? They have to witness all this beauty shaping through ancient rituals, while their must-have skincare routine might consist of a lovely splash of cool water and a fantasy of what could be. Meanwhile, you relish in your faux sophistication, the stirring sound of history all around you, and a light, lingering dread that enormous crocodiles could be inching closer. What's a little danger for beauty, right? As your eyes droop, overwhelmed by the weight of knowing you could wake up as a legend in a land rich with fragrance, yet also rich in absurdity. Remember, you don't have to smear anything on your face except maybe a bit of moisturizer. Prepare for a dreamland filled with all the thrilling, silly escapades of history, where sleep is your only beauty mask, and crocodiles can remain blissfully unbothered. Sweet dreams. Chapter 5. The Pharaoh's Aromatic Spa Day. Hey guys. Welcome back to our lavish look at beauty through the ages, where gilded dreams met the pungent reality of everyday life. Tonight, we're hopping on our metaphorical chariot and rolling through the bustling streets of ancient Egypt. Prepare yourself for a luxury spa experience that certainly puts the phrase "smells like a dream" to a rather disheveled test. Before we plunge headfirst into this aromatic abomination, do me a favor, If you're enjoying our little journey, take a second, tickle that like button, and do the cha-cha with the subscribe bell. Comment only if you're truly tickled. Of course, this isn't a pressure cooker, but rather a soothing steam room of history. Now, dim those lights, set that fan on a gentle breeze, and get comfy. Now, let's dive into some absurd comparisons. Have you ever wondered what it would be like to cavort in a beauty regimen that involved transforming your face into a petri dish of questionable ingredients? What if your skincare routine required an entire petting zoo, but instead of cuddly goats and fluffy sheep, it included the dry remnants of everything from pests to, oh, crocodile dung? Let's imagine you've set your sights on the ultimate beauty standard that prior generations would surely raise an eyebrow at, or multiple eyebrows if they were into that kind of look. Congratulations! You've just woken up in 1500 BCE Egypt, where the Nile is the highway of creativity, corruption, and questionable aesthetics. Picture yourself lounging in a bathtub filled to the brim with fragrant oils. Too bad that every now and then, the lovely bouquet of floral notes is interrupted by the unmistakable whiff of, dare I say, dried crocodile feces. Yes, my friend, you're smothered in an ancient beauty concoction that, let's be honest, is about as attractive as a 2-week-old fish market. Let's talk about bathing, but not in the way you might imagine. This isn't your average evening soak with candles and soft music. No, no. Here, you're enveloped by the mingling scents of myrrh, and just a sprinkle of, you guessed it, rustic reptilian aftershave. As you relax in your luxurious tub lined with precious gemstones, because let's be honest, what else are you going to do while macerating in dubious? You can't help but face the irony of it all. While you might feel sophisticated, your natural scent profile now reads like a menu item from a very confused restaurant. You're joined by a loyal servant, whose job it is to keep you dripping in opulence, even if that means slathering you with copious amounts of this unusual fix. Imagine trying to explain that kind of self-care to your modern-day friends. Oh yes, I pampered myself with a delightful blend of organic crocodile dung and essential oils. The cringe would be palpable. As your servant rolls on this rather questionable paste, you lean back and become enveloped in a world where beauty demands a slightly higher risk factor. The juxtaposition is simply beautiful, smooth application with a side serving of "where has this been all my life?", followed by that sly backdrop smell that says 1 foot in the grave. Having porcelain skin was considered in vogue, akin to being the arbiter of high status, while a sun-kissed glow was the telltale sign of hard labor. You imagine the conversations at lavish dinner parties, as diners compare the relative merits of lush vineyards versus laborious farms, while biting into sunshine that likely carries more germs than a frolicking summer festival in a pigsty. Dare I say that your contemporary skincare routine pales in comparison? I wouldn't mind putting on some sunblock, says you, while people of this time would be flinging lead powder on their faces like confetti at a parade. Truly, what a vibrant time to be alive. You could be trickling your way toward tragic beauty with a side of lead poisoning, and still be deemed fabulous. Now, let's discuss accessories for the occasion. You've decided to embrace every dust-filled moment of your illustrious spa affair. Elaborate jewelry sparkles against your skin, promising elegance only too far to be right. And there you are, all dolled up with nowhere to go, because while you grace the Nile, literal crocodiles might think you're just a particularly ambitious salad waiting to be devoured. Salads for dinner? A dangerous game when you're an edible lured in by notions of vanity. As your eyes begin to droop, weighed down by the knowledge that you could easily awaken to a life as glamorous as it is absurd, remember, you can abandon elaborate facial treatments for a good old-fashioned moisturizer. After all, you don't need to risk an encounter with a hungry creature. A simple skincare routine has never felt more appealing. When you finally drift off to sleep, may your dreams be filled with the whimsical escapades of ancestors who craved beauty nearly as much as they craved a proper bath. Sweet dreams await in this world of ridiculous anecdotes. And let's leave the crocodiles in peace, shall we? Chapter 6: The Crocodile Dung Conundrum. Hey guys, welcome back to our delightful romp down history's absurd bunny trails, where the standards of beauty were often as questionable as your last home haircut. Tonight, we're wandering into the realm of ancient Rome, a place where the elite dazzled with jewels while the scents of culinary curiosities wafted into their manicured nostrils. Pack your bags, but only if those bags are filled with what's left of your common sense, because we're diving headfirst into a beauty routine that requires both bravery and an exceptionally sturdy stomach. Before we saunter into the opulence of toga-clad matrons, dust off that like button and give the subscribe bell a gentle nudge only if you're genuinely curious to hear more, though. I mean, this isn't some high-pressure sales pitch, it's just a leisurely journey through the ridiculousness of history that looks a lot like a long nap, but one where you wake up laughing. So, dim those lights, turn on the fan to mimic a gentle Roman breeze colder than a disgruntled cat's stare, and get cozy. Now, have you ever found yourself questioning your own skincare choices? You know, wondering if that one product labeled all natural might actually contain ingredients that were previously banned from lunch menus. Or possibly fantasizing about slathering your face with something that smells suspiciously like a days-old fish shop? Good news. Ancient Roman beauty routines will not only validate your concerns but crank them up to 11. Congrats! You've just woken up in 100 CE, the heart of Roman extravagance. The bustling streets surround you like a never-ending parade of excitement, and soon, you're zooming in on a lavish villa where you spot a rather glamorous matron, meticulously adorning herself with exquisite gems and flowing silks. The sunlight glints off her jewelry, making her look like some sort of demented disco ball, while the faintest whiff of something less savory lingers in the air. Let's talk about the dramatic arrival of that sought-after beauty product, crocodile dung. Yes, you heard correctly. You can't make this up. This fine lady awaits the grand reveal of her jar filled with, wait for it, dried, imported crocodile excrement. Because nothing quite says, "Look how fabulous I am," like strutting around smelling reminiscent of a swamp after a heavy rain. What was the appeal, you ask? Why would anyone, especially during a time when lead-based makeup options were all the rage, want to smear crocodile poop on their face? Well, they believed this exotic import would help elevate their skin to near mythical levels of softness. Imagine your friend saying, "Oh yes, darling, this moisturizer is simply divine. It's from the Nile, and specifically collected after a crocodile's lunch." You can practically hear their Instagram caption now. "Just relaxing with my favorite skincare poop, what's your favorite?" As the servant presents the jar with a sense of reverence reserved for sacred relics, you can almost hear the collective sigh of anticipation from the other guests. It's like they're waiting for a magician to pull a rabbit out of a hat, and you're just praying it's not a very confused rabbit. Then again, who are we to judge? Perhaps they were onto something. The last one to try it got 1 million followers. Picture this. The matron, decked out in her finery, leans in closer to inspect her newfound treasure. The tension fills the room like the smell of an unventilated gym bag left in the sun too long, lively yet somehow deeply unnerving. With an air of triumph, she pops the lid off, and a wave of potent, earthy aroma hits your nostrils. You realize that she's about to embark on a skincare journey that likely requires a strong stomach and maybe a scented candle to mask what's about to unfold. Before long, her fingers swipe through the contents like a toddler in a finger painting class. She applies the concoction while nonchalantly discussing local gossip, as if she were a Mediterranean Betty Crocker of other people's business. You can't help but marvel at the spectacle. Here you stand, witnessing the Romans navigate beauty standards like modern-day influencers wrestling with vegan ingredients in a TikTok video gone awry. And just when you think this beauty regimen could not possibly get any crazier, in pops another matron, flinging her throw pillows and dramatically remarking, "Well, at least it's better than eating the lead makeup." It's a comforting thought, because honestly, when beauty standards include mustard-colored residue and questionable herbal tea brews, you just might prefer to stick with a nice lotion made of something other than animal droppings. So, as the matron proudly displays her gleaming, dung-smudged visage, just know that even in the realm of absurd beauty, the Romans had a leg up on humorous self-care rituals. The whole ceremony passes with laughter and joy, proving that one person's scent of luxury is truly another's reason to run for the hills. Allow yourself to let this bizarre image drift into your subconscious as you nestle deeper into your blankets. Never forget that while modern beauty products promise rejuvenation and tranquility, The past was often a little more, shall we say, adventurous. Sweet dreams await, and may you never find yourself waiting for a jar of crocodile dung to reach your doorstep. Chapter 7. Crocodile Dung and Chemical Compounds. Hey guys, welcome back to another whimsical descent into the bizarre rabbit holes of history where beauty standards were as outlandish as your neighbor's Halloween decorations. Have you ever gazed at your skincare routine and wondered, is this all really necessary? Well, tonight, we're peeling back the layers of time where the elite were slathering themselves in things that could certainly clear out a room faster than your cousin's chili casserole. Get ready to chuckle and cringe, because we're diving into ancient Rome, a time when looking good was a dangerous sport, and exotic usually involved ingredients that might also serve as a macabre party trick. Before we jump into luxurious spas filled with dubious concoctions, could you please take a moment, gently tap on that like button, and maybe subscribe? But only if you genuinely appreciate the sweet absurdity, of course. There's no pressure here, just a relaxed history lesson that might very well send you off to dreamland with a smile or a face full of crocodile excrement, should that be your evening moisturizer of choice. So, shall we? Lights dimmed, fan on for that perfect Roman breeze. It's definitely not just your cat avoiding the vacuum. Now let me ask, have you ever thought about the most bizarre beauty product you could get your hands on? Something that makes you think, did they just open a science fair project? Or maybe wondered if mixing something for dinner could double as a facial scrub. Or even if the Romans and their beauty regimen were onto something, or just completely off their rockers. Spoiler, they were cruising right past sanity. Congratulations. You've just woken up in 100 CE, you're basking in the glow of the Colosseum, while the scent of gladiator sweat collides with the perfume of flowers that have probably seen better days. A regular day at the Forum includes spirited debates about politics, trade, and of course, how best to elevate one's skin game. Hint, hint, it involves crocodile dung. Now, let's revel in the tantalizing aroma of ancient beauty rituals. Step closer. Can you hear the murmurs of intrigue as you make your way through a bustling villa? Picture it now. Women adorned not just in extravagant silks but also with, wait for it, a jar of ancient skincare magic. Yes, folks, it's an unassuming pot of dried crocodile excrement. Truly, nobody wants to find that at their local spa. What made people think this was a miracle? Did they actually believe it would add a youthful glow akin to that of a forbidden fruit? Apparently, yes. Because in a time where bathing was somewhat optional and looking like a soft, supple fruit was paramount, this fine lady knew she had struck gold, or rather, found a hidden treasure plopped in the Nile. She swirls her finger around as if drawing from the fabled elixirs of life, probably thinking, this is going to be the highlight of my Instagram feed. With a flourish, she lifts the jar to her nose, and it's like a strong whiff of swamp dew combined with an aromatic bouquet of please do not invite me to dinner tonight. The guests lean in with anticipation, like they're about to witness a magician's greatest trick, except this trick involves a lot of gagging and wincing. Can you feel the tensions rise as they whisper, is it too late to order a pizza instead? Picture the reaction once she applies the goo with the precision of a surgeon. The application process looks more like finger painting, while reciting poetry perhaps she's trying to channel the spirits of the crocodiles themselves. One can only assume they're not thrilled about this marketing campaign. And let's not forget the commentary of the other matrons. Oh darling, you simply must try this. My skin feels divine. Not to mention, I can now face down any alligator that dares lurk in the Tiber. Their gasps of astonishment resonate like an ancient symphony, perhaps filled with surprise or potential vomit. As she prances around, flaunting her new complexion, perhaps she channels Mary Poppins, but instead of a spoonful of sugar, it's all about a pound of dung. Someone inevitably brings up the real winners in grooming. At least it smells better than the lead paint. Remember those days? They chuckle, perhaps thinking they'd prefer a taste of the unidentifiable green smoothie they encountered last week at the market over this olfactory confusion. So, while our Roman friend gleefully chats about the latest gossip, don't let the reality escape you. Beauty standards during this glamorous era involve strutting around with all the grace of an absurd peacock, but with elements that could double as farmyard materials. The absurdity of it all is downright magical, leaving you with a chuckle and a shake of your head. Let that image nestle softly into your mind like a fluffy cloud. There she is, our matron, blissfully ignorant that her next skincare review could earn her a cult following, or a one-way ticket to the nearest washroom. And as the evening rolls on, we're reminded that while we may dabble in the world of organic avocado facials or trendy charcoal masks today, the Romans were truly the titans of hilarious and wild beauty escapades. Drift off now, and may your dreams be filled with the ridiculous reminders that even in the chaos of beauty, laughter prevails. Just remember, if you ever feel unsure about your own regimen, at least you're not peddling crocodile dung. Sweet dreams await, dear listener. Chapter 8. The silk-wrapped reality of foot binding. Hey guys, welcome back to our delightful stroll through history, where beauty standards spark more confusion than your last family reunion. Tonight, we're diving into something stranger than the last trend you saw on TikTok: foot binding in ancient China. That's right, prepare yourself, because we'll uncover how a young girl's silk-wrapped toes could turn a simple day into an Olympic sport of discomfort. Imagine for a second if your self-care routine involved less bubble bath and more, let's crush your toes until they resemble miniature bananas. It's genuinely a marvel, not the kind you'd post about online though. Trust me, no one wants to hear about your fresh pedicure when you're hopping around like a newborn deer. Kind of makes you want to stick to your nightly routine of simple moisturizing lotion and maybe, just maybe, a little bit of lavender for relaxation, right? Before we tumble down this historical rabbit hole, could you do me a solid? Go ahead, gently tap on that like button and perhaps subscribe, but only if you truly find joy in clicking. No pressure, though it's all about keeping the good vibes flowing while you get cozy and comfy for this journey into the absurdity of beauty. Dim the lights, turn on a fan for that authentic ancient breezes feel, and settle in. Can you picture being a 6-year-old girl sitting on a wooden stool as your mother hunches over you, wrapping a silk bandage tighter than your last pair of skinny jeans? Ever think, just what does my childhood involve that I'm missing out on? Or maybe you wonder how on earth a beauty standard could require such intense physical torture. What would that even look like in today's world? Would Instagram influencers be posting before and after photos of their multitude of broken bones? Congratulations! You've just woken up in China, around the 10th century, a time when beauty was less about being effortlessly stunning and more about being bound, quite literally. Let's journey into the heart of this mystifying practice where pain was, believe it or not, a badge of honor. You look around, and it's a bustling home full of lively chatter. Women are bustling about, their skirts swaying like leaves in the wind, while your mother's face is a mask of determination. She is equipped with that same look a mother gets when she's about to force you to eat your vegetables. There, on the wooden stool, you feel the coolness of the wood beneath you, contrasting sharply with the warmth of the silk gradually tightening around your small foot. Your mother's hands are soft but resolute, a peculiar mix of love and intimidation as she crushes your toes together like they're trying to escape a bad movie plot. The scent of cooking wafts around you, a delightful mix of rice and herbs, but you're far too distracted by the sensation of your foot being compressed within an inch of its life. It's disorienting, kind of like when you realize you're a grown adult and can't figure out how to do taxes, but instead of paperwork, you're wrestling with the sizes of 2+ sized shoes and a foot that is clearly being recruited for a role in a horror flick. And yet, your mother's singing voice cuts through the murmurs, sweetening the air with reassurances. Oh, my darling, such beautiful tiny feet will catch the eye of handsome suitors. If only the suitors came with a foot surgeon. You can't help but wonder if they'd be providing not just flowers but also comfy shoes upon introduction, considering your dislocation-induced shoe size will now aptly be named sweet suffering. Women around you share knowing glances, and you can practically hear the collective sighs of, the price of beauty. It's almost comical, like if they were grouped together in a sitcom where sentiments about self-sacrifice collide with foot aerobics. You can almost hear an invisible narrator chuckle. Yes, this is the level of dedication where self-care means a completely different thing. Welcome to Toe Trauma Tuesdays. Let's drift into the practicalities of it all, shall we? Your family is doing this all for social standing, but oh dear, if only they realized how many junior high boys will confuse tiny feet with the potential end of their dating life the moment they show up with a foot that looks more like a mutated lobster claw. But not to worry. You'll have the tiniest feet on the block, surely. That's worth wincing together through a few seconds of intense pressure wrapped in fine silk. The camaraderie among women watching you includes whispered tales woven with laughter. Perhaps some are acting as first-rate comedians, earnestly wondering who will be the first shocked by their brace of bound feet on future dates. Imagine how that would go. So, do you pay extra for shoes when you don't need to buy them? Or has your loss of function in walking made you a professional in parkour? As these thoughts whirl around in your mind, you notice a box of sweets sitting invitingly on the table. Different pastries beckon like sirens in a sea of foot-binding lore. Your stomach grumbles, but each bite feels like the equivalent of a shoe buffet. Better leave that till after the foot pressure treatment. Eagerly promising yourself that someday, you will be the proud owner of a brace-free lifestyle. So why endure such strangeness? Because in the end, history crams together our absurdities and desires, cardboard cutouts of beauty ideals from bygone eras that remind us quietly yet humorously. We're all just pretending to have it together, whether it's spending hours on the treadmill or meticulously wrapping our little piggies in silk. And there you are, weaving through the intricate dance of vanity, where beauty meets bravery, and tragedy is but a silk thread away. May your dreams tonight be filled with the giggles of both liberation and luxury, reminding you that in the grand scheme of life, at least you've got your toes free and kicking. Sweet dreams, fellow travelers, may you wake up to find your foot salvation rules the land. Chapter 9, Slippery Standards and Stinky Steps. Hey guys, welcome back to our hilarious dive into history. Tonight, we journey into a realm where beauty standards were so extreme, even the most devoted gym-goer would raise an eyebrow in disbelief. Now, you might want to glance at your comfortable, supportive footwear, because we're about to discuss a symbol of elegance that's just the right amount of insanity, the lotus slipper. Yes, you heard it right, tiny shoes meant for tiny feet, which frankly sounds like a fairy tale gone hilariously wrong. Imagine spending your days wrapped in silk and barely able to walk, all while dreaming of catching the eye of someone who's probably intimidated by the size of your feet. Ever thought, what would it be like to win the Olympics of pain simply by looking dainty? Or perhaps reminiscing about a time when a leisurely stroll involved more stumbling than striding? The answer is probably too comical to handle. But first, a mild reminder. If you find yourself chuckling, groaning, or even mildly amused, which we hope you do us a favor. Kindly tap that like button and subscribe, but only if you really enjoy it. Your click matters, like a lotus slipper in an overstocked shoe sale. Now, dim the lights, maybe set up a fan to create a gentle breeze from those ancient times, and get comfy. Can you picture yourself in a lavish home crushing pastries while negotiating your next foot binding session? Would you be excited or utterly horrified at the prospect of squeezing your feet into decorative pleasers that look more like works of art than functional footwear? Honestly, would you ever want to invest in a shoebox-shaped art piece that would leave you hopping like a kangaroo at a rave? Congratulations! You've just woken up in China, circa the 10th century, where beauty was not just a state of mind but a harrowing physical experience. Take a moment to soak it in. The ornate decorations, the soothing vibrations of silk draping against your skin, and the intricate embroidery of the lotus slippers resting on a plush silk pillow, gleaming like two exquisite morsels of temptation. Let's talk about those slippers, shall we? They practically scream, look but don't touch, unless you're a foot in dire peril. These beauties don't just sit pretty. They symbolize a woman's worth and status, turning her life into an oddly compelling episode of America's Next Top Model. Foot Edition. Imagine holding a pair of slippers made for a foot that has been spiritually sacrificed on the altar of vanity and societal expectation. You might think that sounds extreme, but this was reality. Picture a young girl, perhaps 6 years old, oh, how lovely, as her mother prepares for the ancient ritual with as much enthusiasm as a kid on a sugar high. Your toes, still gawking at the world, would soon be turned into captive prisoners. As she gingerly takes the satin band in one hand, and, your foot in the other, the air hums with the sense of impending doom akin to a dramatic Hollywood movie. Just hold on tight, darling. This is for your future happiness. Kind of. You can almost hear the comedic narrator overlaying your life as you transform into a tiny foot-wrapped vessel of beauty, resembling dumplings rather than dainty princesses ready for a ball. It's bewildering, almost like signing up for a yoga retreat, only to find out the instructor specializes in how to twist your feet until they're exclamation points. Each layer of silk tightened around your foot is basically a gentle reminder. Pain equals beauty, kiddo. There are fashionistas watching. The cannot be overstated, absurdity continues. As laughter trickles through the group of watchful aunties, you notice they're flipping through embroidered designs like they're cataloging wallets at a garage sale. This silk is fabulous. Loved it on my third toe. You can envision aunties giving speeches at family gatherings, explaining how the girls don't just walk. They glide gracefully and agonizingly like swans with broken wings. Imagine a family dinner where foot binding becomes the dinner table joke, and everyone nods solemnly while chewing on dried fish, pondering how their own toes might make a compelling TikTok, or worse, a piercing video of them getting their toes bound, complete with a dramatic soundtrack about sacrifice. I know, right? They did it for beauty, and that poor kid just wanted pizza. Maybe your friends would smile, commenting on the strangeness of it all. Look, I've been training all my life for this moment. Too bad I've turned into a half-beautiful peacock, half-waddling duck. Oh, and let's not forget the moment you actually start stepping out. Wobbling across unexpectedly loose floorboards could transform a daily stroll into a live performance of Who's Going to Fall First. A timeless classic. So here we are, reveling in this odd cultural gymnastics. On one hand, you're bundled up like a cozy piece of art, and on the other, every step you take bears the weight of society's sometimes ludicrous expectations. But hey, at least you'll be the cornerstones of tomorrow's fashion week. Better start brainstorming your winning speech. I'd like to thank my feet for all the sacrifices they've made, and my mother for believing that pain was right around the corner. A true fashionista. So as you drift off into a world made of silks and absurdities, remember that your toes may not stand a chance, but your spirit certainly flies high in the tradition of beauty and bravery, laughing all the way through history's twists and turns. Sweet slippers of slumber, may your dreams dance lightly on the silk of imagination. Chapter 10. The Lotus Gambit. Hey guys, welcome back to our whimsical wander through the wacky world of historical beauty standards. Tonight, we dive into something even twirlier than your Aunt Bertha's dance moves at a family wedding. The mind-boggling and often mind-numbing reality of the Chinese foot-binding tradition. Yes, you heard me right. We're about to traipse into an era where girls transformed into little walking art pieces chasing ghostly ideals of daintiness like butterflies with an unfortunate case of lead shoes. But first, a friendly reminder. If you find yourself chuckling, pondering, or wondering why you even clicked on this video, and we sincerely hope you do, give that like button a little nudge and don't forget to subscribe. But only if you actually enjoy this sort of historical hiccup. Your intention matters like a well-fitting house slipper on a bind-footed dancer. Now, let's slide into the time machine. Picture yourself wrapped in silks, flanked by inquisitive mothers and well-meaning aunties, all while standing precariously on cripplingly bound feet. Would you be excited about that chunk of life? Or perhaps, horrified at the notion that your quest for societal approval could bring more pain than a bad breakup? And can you imagine trying to navigate a bustling market while wobbling like a drunken flamingo on a tightrope? Congratulations! You've just woken up in China, circa the 10th century. The air is thick with the scent of incense, dumplings, and the whimsical laughter of people watching a girl, all smothered in layers of silk and dread. Let's find out what she's up to, shall we? As day breaks, behold the grand ritual of foot binding. Mothers gather their daughters in vibrant rooms adorned with delicate tapestries, where the smell of savory pastries wafts through the air like a culinary siren song. And here you are, invited to the epic foot fest. Just think your toes are about to experience what can only be described as an oddly elaborate massage gone horribly wrong. The first step? Gently placing your feet, unsuspecting and innocent, into the hands of your mother, a woman channeling her inner equivalent of a mad scientist. With a flourish that would make any magician weep, she wraps your delicate toes in soft cotton, each twist and turn pulling tighter than a pair of Spanx on a Sunday brunch day. Don't worry, darling, she coos like a bad sitcom mom. It's for your future happiness. Right, because pain equates to acceptance. If you ever rolled your eyes at that statement, now you'd be doing it with enough gusto that you might just sprain something. You can almost hear the internal sitcom laugh track as your mother skillfully curls your toes like an origami master gone rogue. The aunties gather around, eyes glimmering with a mix of admiration and hidden horror. Just think. Soon, you'll walk like a lotus blossom dancing on the breeze, they chant. All while sip-licking their cups of tea like it's the greatest gossip they've ever received. And can we take a moment to marvel at how every time your feet are wrapped tighter like an overstuffed dumpling you might feel like your life is becoming a CrossFit challenge? Oh yes, imagine an instructor yelling, "You've got this. One more push just for beauty," at you while the sound of ringing laughter fills the air. You can do it. Your tiny feet, now gripping each other with the enthusiasm reminiscent of loved ones grasping for a final slice of cake, begin to scream louder than a toddler in a candy shop. Step into the world of the Lotus slippers, handcrafted masterpieces with embroidery that could put any modern sneaker trend to shame. These dainty artifacts of torture are not just footwear, they represent status, aspiration, and oddly enough, a warped kind of feminism. The irony, of course, women largely defined by the very constraints that bound them. As you look at your reflection, you might think, who needs to run marathons when I could pivot gracefully like a swan during a ballet recital? Spoiler alert, the swan is more like a duck, awkwardly dodging in and out of traffic. Local merchants clamor, observing you gliding, albeit with a slight wobble reminiscent of a Bambi on ice. Ah, that lovely little lady with bound feet, what grace! They'll cheer, probably stifling a laugh. Little do they know, each step is basically a game of don't look down. Now you get to engage in what can only be described as a jazzercise dance on tiptoes, elegantly avoiding crushing street vendors' precious wares while silently praying for the grace of footed deities. Now, imagine the impact at family gatherings. Aunties beaming while poking your little bound foot, as they scrutinize the fabric with suspicious gazes. This silk doesn't suit my third toe. What terrible taste. Your foot could unintentionally ignite a heated debate, as laughter fills the room while chemical warfare from the consumption of assorted foods creates the faintest aura of flatulence. And in this comedy of absurd proportions, you might find yourself questioning what reality has become. Am I really someone who yearns for approval from others, while teetering like an overzealous puppy? The answer is an enthusiastic yes. But you'll also find comfort knowing that future generations would look back with a sense of incredulity born from gravestones more comfortable than your current situation. As you lay down to sleep in your silk-draped lair, remember your journey. The absurdity, the beauty, the pain, all woven together like a brilliant tapestry of life's wildest moments. May your dreams glide across the silk roads of time, drenching you in laughter, contemplation, and the freedom of unmarred toes. Sweet lotus dreams, my graceful adventurer, may your slumber dance lightly in the realm of imagination. Chapter 11. The enigmatic elegance of bound feet. Hey guys, welcome back to our captivating cruise through the quirky currents of history. Tonight, we're about to embark on a journey that's more delicate than your attempt at assembling IKEA furniture without instructions. The mysterious world of foot binding in the Qing dynasty. Yes, brace yourselves as we explore a time when beauty standards were so twisted they'd make pretzel makers hang their heads in shame. But first, a nudgy reminder. If you find yourself giggling, pondering, or baffled about how humanity managed to get itself into such bizarre predicaments, and fingers crossed, you do give that thumbs up button a good old poke, and don't forget to subscribe. But seriously, only if you actually enjoy this wacky ride, your enjoyment matters more than the latest shoe trends. Now, dim those lights, kick off your shoes, hopefully without the fear of stubbing your toe, and snuggle up in your coziest blanket. Get comfortable, like a burrito who just binged a whole season of your favorite show. Picture this. What would it be like to live in a world where your highest aspiration was to walk like a fragile lotus flower, only to discover that you're more like a penguin attempting ballet? Are you imagining tearing your hair out at the thought of a foot so small that it practically fits in a teacup? or contemplating the awkwardness of trying to balance on what effectively feels like two marshmallows strapped to tiny logs. A real conundrum if there ever was one. Congratulations! You've just woken up in China, circa the 10th century, where bound feet were the ticket to social status, desirability, and maybe a little less social awkwardness if you could just manage to stand up. The air is heavy with the scent of incense wafting delicately past the soft murmur of gossiping neighbors. Here, little girls, like you, squeak like newly purchased rubber ducks trapped in silk and tradition, all under the watchful eyes of maternal figures, bent on making sure you achieve that elusive aesthetic of extreme grace, or at least something that looks somewhat like it. Let's delve into the rituals of foot binding, shall we? The sun creeps through the embroidered curtains while the aroma of freshly baked mooncakes fills the air, a cruel reminder that someone can enjoy perfection while you're about to enter the realm of pain and fashion faux pas. You're invited to today's exclusive party, the foot binding extravaganza. Your mother, armed with bandages and sheer willpower, is ready to transform your tootsies into the stuff of unimaginable legend. Step 1. Your unsuspecting little foot is placed gently in her grip. But let's be real. This is no gentle touch, it's more like watching a toddler attempting to catch a butterfly with a net made of barbed wire. With cotton layers wrapped around your foot, you can almost hear your toes performing a desperate rendition of, "Please, don't do this." You've become the unwilling protagonist of an ancient horror story. "Fear not, my flower," she coos cheerily, channeling the spirit of the universe's most misguided motivational speaker. This will lead you to a life of joy and admiration. Right, joy. The same way a trip to the dentist leads to sparkling teeth. Spoiler alert. Spoiler, your toes are now hanging by threads. Just when you think it couldn't get any worse, your mother tightens the wraps with vigor. You'd think she was training for a competitive event titled Best Foot Torture. The aunties flit around, clapping like they're at a particularly enthusiastic bingo night, sighing in admiration as they witness this unique rite of passage. "Look at those tight little feet. You'll be dancing at the Emperor's ball before you know it," they declare, as their enthusiasm seems only slightly disingenuous. Now let's take a moment here to envision the slippers, the pièce de resistance, fancy, embroidered silk creations that scream elegance while paradoxically hiding your feet like well-trained ninjas. These so-called lotus slippers symbolize not just beauty, but also an intense, albeit utterly absurd, leap into social acceptance. You'd feel like a delicate work of art, one that has a slight chance of breaking if someone sneezes. So, picture yourself wobbling, desperately trying not to crash into the family chickens while moving with the finesse of a three-legged dog on a frozen pond. The thrills of social gatherings entail you navigating through small crowds, while every big toe secretly holds a grudge against you for this endeavor. People will gawk at your exquisite balance while you internally debate whether it's time to find a new career path, maybe something that involves sit-down services only, like an expert dumpling taster. As you laboriously navigate through the marketplace, a merchant will exclaim, "Ah, look at that lovely lady," blissfully unaware of the foot drama unfolding beneath your layers of silk. You're less a graceful swan and more of a drunken flamingo desperately searching for its balance, trying not to trip over your own aspirations of elegance. And speaking of market trips, can we talk about family gatherings? Picture a delightful soiree where your bound feet are the main topic of conversation. "My, how charming," your uncle proclaims, pressing his nose into the lacework. Meanwhile, you're busy planning your escape route from further scrutiny, because the last thing you need is to be critiqued on your toes' ability to grace delicate tea ceremonies. As you rest at the end of the day, silk-clad but utterly exhausted, reflect on this journey of beauty, pain, and societal ideals. What a blend of hilarity and tragedy. The capriciousness of trends, the lengths we go just to fit into society's ever-revolving door of standards. May your dreams be filled with more cheerful strides than yours today, whether you're floating on lotus petals or prancing through the marketplace with splendidly unbound feet. Sweet dreams, may they be fluffier than an oversized dumpling. Chapter 12. The backbreaking beauty of bound feet. Hey guys, welcome back to our journey through history, a magical realm filled with absurd beauty standards and questionable choices. Tonight, we're stepping into a world more twisted than your old rollerblading fads. the perilous practice of foot binding in ancient China. Yes, prepare yourselves for an adventure, so puzzling it could have easily been plotted by a sitcom writer on a caffeine binge. But, hold those thoughts. Before we dive deeper into this toe-tangling tale, give that thumbs up button a well-deserved poke, and don't forget to subscribe only if you actually enjoy this agony of giggles and historical mayhem. Your happiness means more than whatever weird trend the kids are chasing after these days. Now, dim those lights, fluff your pillows, and snuggle up in your coziest blanket like a burrito ready for a Netflix binge. Picture this. What if living in a finely decorated palace meant your greatest ambition involved walking like a fragile bonsai tree? Ever imagine trying to balance on stumps resembling marshmallows, while everyone around you praises the elegance of your bound feet? Or visualizing a family gathering where the highlight is judging each other's tiny toe torture achievements, like a version of Keeping Up with the Kardashians, set in 10th century China? Congratulations. You've just woken up in a bustling home, nestled deep in the heart of the Qing dynasty, where convenience is as foreign an idea as powdered wigs at a rock concert. The air is rich with the scent of jasmine and freshly baked buns, while your mother, in her infinite wisdom, prepares for your glamorous transformation into a paragon of feminine grace, or something that closely resembles a penguin on ice. Let's talk about the foot-binding festivities, shall we? The sunlight pours through the silk curtains, creating an ethereal glow across the room where today's main event unfolds. It's the day you've all been waiting for, the day your dreams of a life filled with admiration take a turn down a road paved with pure agony. With delicate bandages at the ready, your mother approaches, armed with determination, much like a grizzly bear preparing to win a wrestling match. Step 1. She gently grips your small foot, but make no mistake, it feels like a toddler trying to catch a butterfly using a net made of rusty barbed wire. The cotton wraps encapsulate your toes like a fast food wrapper over the most unappealing burger imaginable, begging, please, not like this. It's officially time for you to enter the club nobody signed up for. Welcome to the realm of bound feet, where comfortable is thrown out the window faster than a pot of unseasoned cabbage. Don't worry, my little lotus blossom. Your mother enthuses, channeling the essence of every misguided motivational speaker ever. This is a small price for a life of joy and admiration. You'll see, sure, because who doesn't dream of walking with feet resembling intricate origami made by a toddler on a sugar high? Spoiler alert, your toes are now hanging by threads while your dignity sprints for the hills. As if that wasn't enough, she tightens the bindings with vigor, the kind of zeal usually reserved for hyperactive puppies wrestling with their owners. The aunties flit about you like moths to a flame, showering praise upon your now terrified toes. Oh, look at those dainty feet. You'll be the belle of the ball before you know it. Ah, yes, a ball where you can't properly dance without resembling a cartoon character trying to slip on ice. What fun! And oh, the slippers, the ceremonial lotus slippers. They're vibrant, embroidered works of art that conceal your feet like luxury blinds, shielding a penthouse suite from prying eyes. These masterpieces manifest beauty, social acceptance, and a touch of madness all at once. You'll feel like a delicate porcelain doll, right up until you inevitably misjudge your footing and land face first in a basket of mushrooms. Ever tried waddling down a crowded market with such little balance? Welcome to the daily adventure. Picture navigating through a bustling world filled with knickknacks and merchant stalls while attempting to balance on these silk weapons of mass destruction. Suddenly, you've transformed from a poised lady into a drunken flamingo, teetering precariously while trying to dodge short-tempered chickens' real nail-biting stuff. Family gatherings? Oh boy. Think of a delightful soiree where long-lost relatives gather, lavishing compliments on your minuscule foot achievements. Ah, your feet are such a marvel, they'll exclaim, while you mentally plot your escape route. No thanks, Uncle Wang. I don't need another grammar lesson about how my tiny toes are a reflection of family honor. At the end of the day, when the sun sinks low, leaving your feet trapped in luxurious misery, take a moment to consider this blend of beauty, pain, and baffling societal ideals. Ah, the lengths we go to in the name of vanity. May your dreams tonight drift away on clouds of sockless freedom, soft and plush like a cloud-shaped dumpling. Sweet dreams. And may your sleep be more restful than your unfortunate foot journey through history. Chapter 13. The Squeeze of Beauty, Corsets and Constrictions. Hey guys, welcome back to our whimsical time warp, where fashion is more fearsome than your last family dinner tonight. We're diving into the world of fashion that could double as a medieval torture chamber. Imagine squeezing into a corset tighter than your jeans after Thanksgiving, just to score a decent spouse, or maybe a chance to attend a fancy ball where the real drama unfolds. Who can gasp for air while looking fabulous? But before we get our laces grimly tangled in this tale of struggle and style, go ahead and give that thumbs up button a polite little tap. And if you feel like navigating this absurdity with us, subscribing would be a delightful gesture, only if you actually enjoy this, of course. Nothing worse than feeling obligated, like wearing last season's trends at a fashion show. Now, dim those lights, adjust your pillows, and let's cozy up for a historical tale so delightfully offbeat, it'll make your own fashion faux pas seem like haute couture. Have you ever thought about how hard it is to breathe after a hefty slice of cake? Imagine voluntarily living that experience for the sake of elegance. Or what about those moments when you find yourself struggling to zip a dress only to realize you're somehow upside down? Fortuitous, isn't it? Congratulations! You've just woken up in the vibrant court of the 18th century, where the air is rich with intrigue, gossip, and the faint scent of desperation masking the perfume intended to cover up the less than wholesome odors of reality. It's a world of high stakes, where the lines between beauty and survival get blurrier than Mama's famous spaghetti sauce recipe. Here, corsets reign supreme, squeezing the very life out of you for the sake of aesthetics. Let's talk about this notorious garment, shall we? Imagine walking into your mother's room, all laden with shiny fabric and the remnants of what might have once been a decent meal. She eyes you, hands on hips. My dear daughter, today is the day. The tone is something more commanding than a royal decree. You gaze up at her, heart racing faster than a squirrel on espresso. Today, she continues, we make you beautiful. What follows is a scene that plays out like a medieval wrestling match, only with more ribbons and fewer referee calls. Your mother produces the corset with a flourish, as if presenting a rare artifact worthy of high praise. The fabric inhales dramatically, and you can almost hear it sighing through the ages. This beauty will take you from a soft peach to a ravenous wasp in just one lace-up. The winding begins, oh, the joy. As your mother tightens each ribbon with the enthusiasm of an over-caffeinated Sunday school teacher, the world becomes a surreal place where breathing starts to feel optional. Surely no one needs all that air, right? As she cranks it one last notch, you could swear you felt you're a fake. Ribs swap sizes, competing in this newfound game of, where did my lungs go? After what feels like an eternity of twisting and turning, you finally stand. The mirror reflects an image reminiscent of a highly stressed hourglass. The silhouette is stunning, if only it didn't feel like you were wearing a medieval hug from a vengeful octopus. Your mother beams with pride, showering compliments like confetti while you internally assess your new abilities. Can you even attempt anything beyond teetering? Stepping out into fashionable society is like walking into a gladiator arena, all decked out but with the added pressure of judging eyes. How long can you feign interest in the local gossip while your ribcage screams for mercy? And yet, amid straining fabric, life proceeds. You see women twirling and flirting in exquisite, wide skirts, a feat of engineering that defies both gravity and common sense. Ever tried walking through a crowded ballroom in undergarments that feel ready to stage a coup? Congratulations! The experience is an athletic event itself, a slapstick mix of dodging conversation and accidentally moonlighting as a human tripwire. Each step you take sends you on a delicate dance twist, turn, gasp. Repeat like some absurd theatrical performance, where dramatic effect meets real bodily impact. As the evening wears on, laughter rings out, rivals hiss behind elegant fans, and your attention wanders to that savory pie on the refreshment table. The deep smell of meat fills the air, a siren song drawing you in. You ponder, how much trouble could it get you into to teeter over for a nibble? The answer, as it turns out, is infinitely more than the 5 seconds it would take before you drop into a dire predicament, a precarious pirouette gone monumentally wrong. By the end, as you retreat to your chamber, The relief of unfastening the corset is sweeter than any slice of cake, a grand finale, befitting an emotional roller coaster. You'll breathe, again, and as you do, reflect on just how absurdly far we've taken the quest for beauty. Beauty standards, like ancient hieroglyphs, can be as perplexing as they are unrealistic, and who knows, maybe next week, they'll insist on sticking to a wooden plank while posing for portraits. So settle in, dear friend. May your dreams tonight be free as a dove, airy like your newfound understanding that beauty comes in many forms, even in a world that took it to such bizarrely hilarious extremes. Sweet dreams. And may your slumber be as soothing as a well-fitted comfy shirt after a day in the corset coliseum. Chapter 14, The Curious Case of Shrinking Souls. Hey guys, welcome back to our time-traveling escapade, where tonight we unravel the tantalizingly twisted trajectories of beauty standards that could make your Aunt Gertrude's obsession with kale seem completely rational. So, ask yourself, have you ever looked at your feet and thought, gosh, these could be a little less functional? Or perhaps you've contemplated squeezing your toes into something resembling a corset for your feet. What if I told you that some folks have actually done that, and in the name of beauty? But before we march barefoot into the bizarre world of historical aesthetics, do me a solid. Hit that thumbs up button if your curiosity has been piqued. And if you find this delightful dive into history tickling your fancy, a subscription would be splendid. Only if you genuinely enjoy it, of course. No one likes forced enthusiasm like being served a vegetable that's had an unfortunate run-in with the family of hedgehogs. Now, let's adjust those pillows, dim the lights, and cozy up, because we're about to venture into the 18th century in China. Congratulations! You've just woken up in a land where beauty standards are not just a matter of lipstick and hairstyles, but where the act of literally breaking your bones is seen as a sign of true elegance. That's right, get ready to explore the captivating world of foot binding, a practice that, let's just say, took the, oh no, not that, to a whole new level. Picture a foreign Jesuit missionary, clipboard in hand, watching in both horror and fascination as young girls, mere children really, tumble into the oblique artistry of foot binding. They sit solemnly in tea houses, their feet swaddled like formidable burritos, the tiny toes jammed painfully under the sole. This missionary, eyes wide like he's just bitten into a particularly pungent piece of durian fruit, sketches rapidly. Ah, yes, the deformed foot, a perfect case study for my journal, he muses, a blend of academic curiosity and moral revulsion clouding his judgment. Let's talk about this curious procedure. It begins innocently enough. A mother gazes down at her little girl's feet and decides they need transforming from functioning limbs into aesthetically pleasing objects, which, let's be honest, sounds slightly less humane than turning a frog into a prince. The process starts with soaking the feet in warm water mixed with herbs, which, spoiler alert, does absolutely nothing to mitigate the imminent horror that follows. Next comes the part where 5 toes are bent under and tightly bound with cloth strips. It's like wrapping a burrito too tightly, but somehow less appealing and infinitely more tragic. Can you imagine the sweet little girl, gazing at her mother with wide eyes as if she were about to be gifted a puppy, only to hear, surprise, we're giving your feet a vacation away from being feet. Once these tiny toes are tucked away, the girl is forced to walk on her heels like a particularly uncoordinated flamingo. The cities of China are dotted with these beauty icons, shuffle skipping their way through tea houses, each taking steps that suggest they've all just stepped onto a particularly hot patch of sand. Amongst all this toe-taming, let's not forget the scandalous remarks swirling around. Imagine parties filled with hostesses, raving about the latest foot fashions, saying, "Have you seen Mei Ling's lotus blossoms? They're positively exquisite." Talk about putting your best foot forward, if only that foot didn't send you into a world of excruciating pain, and, let's face it, limit your dating prospects to fellow contortionists. Much like how we adapt to societal pressures, these women grew up with a focus on elegance that was tighter than your average pair of skinny jeans. Eventually, they learned to navigate their daily lives without the humble luxury of their well-functioning anatomy. Ever tried walking across a room filled with obstacles while blindfolded and riding a unicycle? Welcome to their world, an odd and dangerous balancing act. And let's not overlook the delightful dinner conversations. How's the weather? Oh, marvelous. But you would not believe the pain I endured today while brushing my hair, and my feet being crushed like overripe tomatoes. Simply divine. As society shifted, the practice eventually waned, but not without leaving a legacy more complicated and tragic than your mother's recipe for casserole. Foot binding exemplifies the lengths women and everyone really would go to in the name of beauty. It's really a cautionary tale, more uncomfortable than wearing the last season's trends at a vintage thrift shop. And isn't that a humbling reflection for all of us? The moral of the story. Join us as we explore more wild and ridiculous beauty standards throughout history. Because if we can't laugh at our past, we might have to start binding our own feet to cope. So, take a moment to wiggle your lovely, functional toes and give a nod to the freedom of relatively pain-free walking as we drift off to sleep, dreaming about a world where beauty is defined by our spirit rather than skeletal contortion. Sweet dreams, and may your feet remain beautiful and functional when you wake. Chapter 15. The Enigma of Glossy Black Teeth. Hey guys, welcome back to our cozy corner of the universe, where tonight we dive headfirst into something stickier than your great-aunt's holiday fruitcake. A delightful romp through beauty standards that could make modern-day hairstyles look like serious minimalism. Imagine a world where the concept of being glamorous involved a touch of poison and a liberal application of, well, let's just say a bucket full of questionable choices. But before we slip into those glossy blackened waters of toothy elegance, yes, you heard that right, give that thumbs up button a gentle nudge if you're feeling curious. And, oh, if you enjoy this little historical bed of hilarity, subscribing would be as golden as only wearing clothes made from the finest silk, which we happen to know comes with its own set of dramas. Now, go ahead and dim those lights, crank your fan to a gentle breeze, and settle in for a trip to a time when beauty was best defined by your size, 2 waist, and a pair of teeth that shone with the luster of a crow's curiosity. Spoiler alert, you're going to wake up in early 16th century Japan, specifically in a tea room that's more candlelit than a romantic date gone awry. Congratulations. You're now fully immersed in the world of the geisha, where displaying blackened teeth is believed to enhance beauty and desirability. Picture it. You glance around, and instead of just a well-placed potted plant, you see geishas dressed to the nines, sporting elaborate kimonos like walking art installations. The candles flicker softly, providing a warm embrace to the atmosphere as you sip on your matcha, vaguely aware that this setting is steeped in centuries of tradition and, admittedly, some rather peculiar ideas about attractiveness. So here comes the burning question. How did teeth become the unfortunate trend that literally made everyone bite the dust? Forget the gym workouts or those toxic smoothie recipes promising Instagram levels of perfection. This was all about putting your pearly whites into a paint shop via the neglected BBQ sauce of your dental fantasies. Yes, you heard right, blackened teeth. The Japanese term is ohaguro, and the practice involved scholars, nobles, and even the occasional matron of the manor, pretending their cavities were now haute couture. It was like going into a swanky restaurant, ordering the chef's special, and emerging with a face full of whipped cream. Not what you expected, but we're rolling with it. Against the backdrop of a mesmerizing tea house, your mind tries to wrap itself around the daily rituals involved. Geishas would painstakingly prepare for their presentations, layering their personas like a finely crafted dessert. They softened their skin, donned stunning kimonos, and made those jaw-dropping wigs look sharper than a night out in the town. But hold your horses. Instead of a simple rinse for those chompers, it was time for a slathering of iron filings and vinegar. Sweet dreams, right? Imagine brushing your teeth while tasting what? Rusty nails? Why not make your mouth a space where beauty meets battleground? The taste? An acquired one, no doubt, but one you'd mistake for a bad metal concert after a few sips of sake. It's no surprise this dental delight became the highlight of many a geisha's life, turning smiles into miniature black holes of allure as they charmed their admirers with a swift bow and a sly grin. Have you heard? A wise old tea merchant murmurs at the corner of the tea room. In the land of beauty, blackened teeth rule. Forget the fuss of fluoride. We are inviting the charm of chipped fangs and acidic adventures. A statement that could rival modern-day skincare influencers shilling avocado facials. It's comical, really, that what was supposed to symbolize beauty somehow concluded with a fiery debate about aesthetics, in the same way modern folks argue the merits of avocado toast. And yet, amidst all of this, the geishas were not just about artwork and the theatrics of beauty. There was a delicate art to their craft. Each conversation was a dance, as playful and intricate as the layers of fabric adorning their kimonos. They poured tea in graceful arcs, while expertly ignoring that even they might have transformed into human pincushions of societal expectations. So let's reflect. If you thought that fitting into those skinny jeans was a trial of endurance, imagine instead living in a world where everything revolved around ensuring your dental decor met traditional beauty standards. As you ease into that plush bedding for the evening, you're reminded that, yes, your elegantly functional teeth don't have to murder a relic of the past. And with that thought, you drift off into a slumber, perhaps occasionally checking if your smile resembles that of a stunning Japanese beauty. So settle in, and allow the absurdity of globally diverse beauty standards to wrap you warmly in its embrace, because let's be honest, sleeping is far more appealing than painting your teeth black with iron filings. Sweet dreams await you. Chapter 16. The Pungent Charm of Kanamizu. Hey guys. Welcome back to the cozy universe we've created, where tonight we're about to dive into something more aromatic than your neighbor's questionable cooking experiment. The delightful world of beauty standards from times past. This is not your standard Instagram filter makeover, oh no. Tonight's journey involves ingredients that would most certainly earn you a health warning, specifically, a bowl of kanamizu. Imagine a concoction of iron filings mixed with vinegar, exuding a pungent, acidic aroma. Sounds familiar? Just like that time you opened a mystery container in your fridge and decided it was better to vacuum seal it rather than confront it. But before we dip our toes into that dark, metallic mix, give that thumbs up button a gentle nudge if you're intrigued. And hey, if you're enjoying this little venture through the absurdities of history, subscribing would be as delightful as finding an extra slice of cake at the end of a long day. Bonus points if you can locate the frosting. Now dim those lights, turn on a fan for that perfect breeze, and get comfortable as you nestle into whatever delightful fabric situation you've selected for tonight. Let me ask you, ever wondered how people justified the whole blackened teeth thing? What if your teeth literally screamed bad decision, yet somehow made you more attractive? Picture yourself digging through your cabinet for the strangest ingredients to charm your way through the dating game. Would you seriously consider an iron-laced mouthwash? Yeah, right. Congratulations. You've just woken up in early 16th century Japan, and much to your surprise, you've stumbled literally into a tea room filled with the distinct, sharp notes of vinegar wafting through the air. An aromatic cocktail that whispers mischief and invites dubious beauty practices into your life. Look around as geishas glide past you, their kimonos looking more like they've stepped out of a luxury fabric shop. Layered elegance wrapped around impeccable makeup, like an artful sushi roll woven with a dash of chaos and an overzealous glam squad armed with iron filings. So, let's talk about that alluring kanamizu, shall we? This fabulous blend wasn't just a beauty product. It was a rite of passage, a way to flaunt your worthiness to potential suitors while simultaneously committing an act of dental indiscretion. Yes, the pungent liquid, a master blend of vinegar and tiny fragments of iron, wasn't merely something you could unexpectedly gargle after a mysterious meal. Nope, this was blackening your teeth, often the signature move for elegance among the elite. As you lean in closer, your nose is met with this eardrum-shattering array of scents sharp like a morning alarm. Imagine yourself brushing your teeth with this mixture. What would that taste like? A bit like drinking rusty water while simultaneously chewing on a handful of nails. Ah, the price of beauty. Iron-filled mouthwash turned out to be more of a taste bud rebellion than an invigorating cleanse. Now, imagine the conversations swirling around you as the geishas prepare their beauty treatments like seasoned pros in an absurd soap opera. Have you heard? One whispers to another while stirring her bowl, now rocking the latest black-toothed look with a side of sass. Forget floral toothpaste. We're gifting our mouths with iron elegance. It's all the rage. If only they knew how wild the toothpaste aisle would become in centuries. Oh yes, the ritual itself was quite the process. Women would layer on face powders crafted from rice flour, and ground minerals, while their hair was styled in elaborate wigs that were almost their separate being, each more intricate than your last holiday dinner's bake-off debacle. There you are, trying not to giggle as you witness each geisha transforming her image, her dining smile becoming as centerpiece worthy as the most extravagant meal you can imagine, punctuated by a captivating set of blackened points that scream, "Look at me." This was not just about appearances, oh no. To be well dressed and having blackened teeth communicated wealth, status, and yes, an unabashed commitment to the cause of beauty. Just think of it as a medieval Instagram filter, where the likes were given based on how you rocked that unsightly grin. And honestly, it seems the peak of beauty really meant entering a dentist's office only to be greeted by a metal band waiting to see you headbanging to toxic aesthetics. So, as you lie here, drifting through the layers of time, consider the sheer dedication of those geishas armed with their pungent kanamizu. Their commitment to societal beauty standards was unbelievably intense, much like trying to find the perfect angle for a selfie with your dog that won't cooperate. Is it farcical? Absolutely. But at the end of the day, they just, like you, were all a little lost in the intricate art of self-presentation. So breathe in deeply the remnants of that vinegar-infused history. Smile internally, knowing your teeth can sit back and relax fairly unscathed tonight, and reflect on how breathtakingly absurd the past can be. And with those amusing thoughts swirling, allow yourself to easily drift off, knowing you are waking up to a brave new world of dental hygiene tomorrow. Chapter 17. The Charcoal Chic of Early Japanese Bridehood. Hey guys, welcome back to the ever-enigmatic adventure that is beauty through the ages. Tonight, we're delving into a realm where dental aesthetics took on shades of bizarre, think less, Hollywood smile, and more. What's that delightful bite of charcoal doing in your mouth? Ah yes, folks, we're winding our way to a tumultuous time when the art of charm was more about your teeth resembling a soot-covered window than that sparkling pearliness we value today. Now, I know what you're thinking. Blackened teeth? Is that really a thing? Well, buckle up, because we're about to embark on a historical escapade that's just as puzzling as trying to eat spaghetti with chopsticks. Trust me, you'll walk away feeling infinitely better about your own dental choices. Before we dive in, softly juxtapose a mind-boggling thought. What if your smile now could be a moral declaration of your fidelity, commitment, and, well, general maturity? Yes, picture this. An early 16th century Japanese bride giving you a beaming grin that makes her pearly whites look like they've been swept up in a coal mine explosion. It was as much a fashion statement as it was an indication of her societal status. But hey, your neighbors might have questions. So, let's take a moment here to fantasize about life as a newly married Japanese woman. In those times, did you have to practice your best "I love you" face while simultaneously ensuring you're rocking those gorgeous blackened teeth? Could you be on the lookout for fresh iron filings while balancing a teacup on your knee? Does aversion to vinegar come into play whilst trying to impress the in-laws? The possibilities are absurd. And here we are, congratulations, you've just woken up in the early 16th century Japan, a land where sushi is a staple and rice is still a kitchen dominator. Yet instead of dining delicacies, the buzz in the hip tea house is all about your latest teeth fashion. As you blink away the morning haze, glancing into the polished bronze mirror, it's all clear. You've gone from cute modern human to fashion-forward geisha in mere seconds. Your mouth surprises you with its cheerful shade of blackness. Can you imagine the strange concoction? Think of kanamizu, this curious preparation of iron filings and vinegar that gives the sensation of slurping on rusty soup. Yes, that's the ticket to beauty, the ultimate beauty hack that says, I am sophisticated enough to sacrifice my dental dignity for tradition. Now, take a deep breath. The aroma in the tea room is not unlike what a tin can smells like after it's rained. It's sharp, oppressive, and just slightly eye-watering. As you gaze at your newfound charcoal chic, you might wonder, how did this all come about? Time to widen your lens. Back then, beauty was a currency. It was trading status, wealth, and of course, a weird affinity for dental drama. In a society that placed tremendous value on appearances, a woman adorned with blackened teeth signaled her worth. Much like how modern-day influencers love flaunting what they think are breathtaking backdrops for photos. Only, instead of fading filters, it was hefty iron filings creating just the right amount of Gothic elegance. Let's take a moment to picture the rituals. As you sat there, pouring tea with one hand and modeling your glorious teeth with the other, you might overhear snippets from the ladies around you. "Aren't you loving this blackened phase?" one asks, stirring her mystical brew. "It's all the rage. Who needs toothpaste when vinegar's the new black?" You might chuckle, "Ah, beauty standards wrapped in the delightful absurdity," laughing like the world doesn't have enough irony already. And think of how this simply lovely aesthetic clashed with typical dinner conversations today. Why, yes, I was just complimented on my romantic charm and commitment through my visibly charred teeth. It would be a statement worth making at your next neighborhood barbecue, wouldn't it? But alas, beauty was indeed bittersweet. Iron filings wreaking havoc on tooth enamel weren't exactly the best deal. This blackened statement came saddled with risks, decay, bad breath, and for ultimate humor, the delightful chance of ruining dinner when that last bite of sushi gets stuck in between those very chic, but undeniably less than hygienic, gaps. But what if society decided those glossy white bulbs were the way to go? You'd be left trying to explain, "Oh, those tacky teeth. They were so last century. Iron oxide is way more palatable for tea parties." Indeed, it's a noble sacrifice, perhaps even akin to the modern struggle of shoving your self-worth into trendy jeans that feel a little too snug after dessert. And isn't this all a testament to our endless search for beauty, even when it snickers back at us with a slightly jagged grin? So as the incense swirls around you, bringing you back to those questions of societal pressures and absurd choices, take a moment to appreciate how far we've come. Or have we? Is there ever a point where we'll see a return to the "I've got rusty chic" beauty trend? Time will tell, and it always seems to. So nestle into your thoughts, inhale the irony wrapped within history, and let that whimsical perspective guide you into dreams where blackened teeth reign supreme, because, let's face it, it's just a closet full of contrasts waiting to unravel. And with that, you can drift off peacefully, unburdened by the weight of iron and vinegar. Sweet dreams. Chapter 18. The Enigmatic Art of Ohaguro and Other Absurdities. Hey guys, welcome back to our nightly journey through the wonderfully peculiar annals of history. Tonight, we're zooming into the glittering, yet oddly stinky world of pre-modern beauty standards, where the notion of charm could often mix with a healthy dash of poison, and the remnants of yesterday's meals might still linger on your exquisitely blackened teeth. Now, what could possibly go wrong with that? So, grab your pillows, sip on that lukewarm tea, and let's dive into the murky waters of 1650 seconds Japan, where blackened teeth were all the rage. But hey, only if you really enjoy this journey through time. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you care to laugh with us, that is. Now, let's dim those lights a little more, create that cozy cocoon of comfort, and dapple in the amusing mysteries of Ohaguro, or tooth blackening, if you will. What if your friends offered to throw you a tooth-dyeing party instead of a birthday bash? Would that be trending on Instagram? Can you imagine? Look at me, I'm so committed to tradition. Pass the vinegar, please. Congratulations. You've just awoken in the Edo period of Japan. The sun peeks through paper shoji screens, and you can already smell the faint wafts of incense and fried fish mingling in the air. As you step out of your warm hemp futon, something catches your eye. You're next to a sputtering oil lamp, illuminating a small wooden vanity, where your best friend, a lady who's clearly very serious about her beauty regimen, is meticulously preparing to apply ohaguro to her teeth. What's in her hand, you ask? Oh, just a delicate brush and a pot of glowing, glossy black dye made from iron filings combined with a little vinegar. Imagine the delightful scent of a rusty toolbox that's seen better days. Now, picture this. You're half awake and half determined to impress the ladies at the nearby tea house. But will your fluctuating energy levels match your current dental ambitions? Probably not. And while she's going all in on blackening her teeth, you can't help but ponder the absurdity of it all. Was it a fashion statement? A marital status signal? As you watch her dab the brush with the seriousness of a samurai preparing for battle, what thoughts race through your mind? Have I spit out my breakfast? Is that last piece of sushi making a comeback? All this is while trying to suppress laughter as she eyes her reflection, convinced that today's look will say, Behold my commitment to tradition, and I don't care if it's fueled by vinegar. As you sip your morning miso soup, because, let's be honest, what else could you possibly want? The ritual unfolds. Oh, the ancient process of Ohaguro. Underneath that glance of confidence, you can feel the sheer weight of social pressure. You might as well have just committed to dressing like an 18th century scarecrow, all for the sake of beauty. Who knew that blackening your teeth equated to social clout, in a world where your dental decisions defined your character like a resume of moral integrity? Yet, here's where it gets a little absurd. The pigment was known to cause decay, a fun little health risk attached to looking chic. Ever tried to impress the in-laws while battling an open mouth full of decay-induced odors? It's the historical equivalent of showing up to a potluck with a mystery casserole that's either an exquisite delight or a potential health hazard. Are those your beautiful blackened teeth I see? Your eating companions would say, wide-eyed. Sure, your smile could evoke admiration, but only as long your tongue didn't wander too far in exploring what lodged itself between your stylish iron-enhanced enamel. Now, let's not just stop at the beauty standard. Let's talk about the tools of the trade. Your friend is dabbing on the dye, and you can't help but wonder what happens if she accidentally drips some on her kimono. Is that a fashion faux pas, or just another day in Edo? Would the local gossipers have a field day? As the laughter echoes in your mind, reminiscent of a well-placed kabuki slapstick scene, you continue to admire the most ludicrous fashion decision ever. All this for the sake of displaying commitment through dental decoration. Who would have thought iron filings could carry such a weight of societal belief? Moreover, all of this has you reflecting, will people 300 years from now giggle at our obsession with white teeth? Why do we go for fluoride rinses instead of a trusty canister of iron filings? What was wrong with them? You think because clearly some generations have made some questionable life choices, like you overhearing someone insisting chia seeds will cure everything. As you watch your friend finalize her stylistic teeth transformation, remember this. Perhaps the ultimate lesson lies in the absurdity of beauty and the striking, mystical, unwritten rules of what makes someone attractive. Maybe you don't need to blacken your teeth after all. Maybe just a hint of humor about the past and the absurdity of the present will suffice. So allow the philosophies of Ohaguro and other peculiar standards dance in your mind and wrap you in warmth, guiding you softly into dreams where blackened teeth reign in merriment. And as the oil lamp flickers in the background, let that historical charm embrace you as you drift off to sleep, because honestly, you can't make this stuff up. Sweet dreams. Chapter 19. The Art of Skull Shaping and Other Parenting Mysteries. Hey guys, welcome back to our nightly journey through history, where we dive into beauty standards so bizarre, they could only be deemed mildly interesting by our modern sensibilities. Tonight, we're bubbling up a beauty regimen that's colder than a cat in a bathtub, the ancient practice of skull shaping. Yes, you heard me right, because why wouldn't a loving parent want to mold their infant's head like silly putty into a fashionable cone? Who needs Lego sets when you can fashion a little Picasso from your very own baby? But hey, before we embark on this sculptural adventure, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment, because sharing oddities like this is what keeps these peculiar dreams alive. Now, let's dim the lights a little more, grab that comfort blanket, make sure there are no sharp objects nearby, and settle in. Have you ever thought about how arbitrary beauty standards can be? Like, what if you had to keep your infant from rolling over because, God forbid, they develop a flat spot? Or worse, what if their peers mocked them for not having a head shaped exactly like a slice of ripe cantaloupe? Congratulations! You've just woken up in a world between 10,000 BCE and the early 1900s, where the concept of beauty could include anything from elaborate headdresses to, yes, the whimsical art of skull binding. Your head may look like a work of art, but good luck fitting through doorways without a couple of side glances. Let's talk about this fascinating practice, skull binding, a ritual as old as time itself, as they say. Imagine being a parent in a quaint little settlement. Your baby's cries pierce the tranquil air as you gently wrap wooden boards around their tiny cranium with the precision of an IKEA build, but thankfully, without any leftover pieces to sort through. The goal? To elongate that beloved noggin into the fashionable carrot shape that'll have future archaeologists scratching their heads. Over hundreds of years, This little tradition became a true family bonding experience, even if your team building activity wasn't exactly a picnic. And here's where it gets even wilder. These early parents didn't have Google or parenting forums to tell them the best methods. They relied on timeless wisdom handed down by generations, probably while sipping on suspiciously herbal tea. Ah, yes, dear. To the left, to the right, and remember to secure that head like it's a gourmet soufflé. As you stroll through this ancient setting, the air brims with a delightful scent of beeswax and occasional burnt hair. Who knew hair was flammable? You can hear the rhythmic chants of shaman priests echoing through the village, performing rituals with the air of a magician who's a little out of practice. Could someone tell them that hocus pocus doesn't actually come with a manual? Meanwhile, your neighbors peer in through wooden slats, fascinated by the elaborate transformation of your baby's cranium. Ever wonder what playdates looked like back then? Oh, look at little Tarquin with his exquisitely elongated head. What a stylish little trendsetter. How did you do it? Did you sprinkle it with magic pixie dust, or just slap a couple of boards on top? But all jokes aside, this method wasn't just for beauty, it held societal weight. You see, an elongated head was a mark of beauty, social status, and sometimes even superiority. Parents wanted their children to fit in, or rather, stand out in a way that screamed, "Hey, look at me. I'm not just any old human. I'm a fashion statement on two legs." As you walk through the village, listen closely. You might even notice the local gossip swirling around. Did you hear about Doris, the elder? She tried a new skull-shaping method and ended up with a head that looks like a butternut squash. What do you think her children are going to say at school? Talk about a recipe for social despair. Now, imagine this. Fast forward a few decades, and Tarquin is all grown up. His elongated head is now a canvas for intricate tattoos, adorned with feathers and beads that symbolize his social ranking. You can almost hear the other villagers gushing over his chic appearance, while secretly wondering if his head wasn't bent just a smidge too far to the left. Heaven forbid anyone should throw off the delicate balance of their beauty standards. And speaking of beauty standards, it's fascinating how they change over time. If you were to awkwardly tumble into today's world with your perfectly sculpted skull, you'd probably still get a cocktail of stares and whispers. Look at that one. They must have had really committed parents. Bet they do yoga and meditate every day too. Ultimately, let's reflect on the lessons learned. Beauty, for better or worse, has always been a strange game of angles and trends. From wrapping wooden boards around baby skulls, to trying to squeeze a half-hearted selfie into a perfectly filtered moment, there's bound to be a laugh lurking somewhere. So, as you drift off to sleep, let the echoes of curious rituals and fashion faux pas comfort you. Take a moment to appreciate the peculiar ways in which humanity has evolved, and those that haven't. It's a wild ride, but at least we don't have to deal with wooden boards on our heads anymore. Sweet dreams. Chapter 20. The Elongated Pursuit of Beauty. Hey guys, welcome back to our journey through history's quirkiest pastimes. Tonight, we're discussing a fashion statement that's truly head-turning. Elongated skulls. Yes, you heard that right. This isn't just some silly trend. We're diving into a world where the length of your cranium could determine your social status faster than a tweet can go viral. Who knew that having a head shaped like a cantaloupe could come with a side of prestige? But before we delve into the realm of head shaping where normal takes on a whole new meaning, make sure to like, subscribe, and comment below. But of course, only if you find joy in these mildly interesting historical absurdities. Now, dim the lights, grab a cozy blanket, and how about a quick check of your neighbors peering in at you, wondering why your head's wrapped in a peculiar contraption? Or perhaps they're trying to visualize your new look and debating the merits of a fashionable skeleton instead of just the average pinhead. Congratulations! You've just woken up in a time when your cranial shape could very well convince people you're a higher form of intellect. Here you are, in a society where it's not what you know, but how high your forehead rises above your eyebrows. Imagine this, your morning ritual involves not just a splash of water to wake up, but rather a dedicated session of cranial care and commitment. You're ushered into a sun-drenched room, the air thick with the warm aroma of beeswax mixed with a hint of regret. Today's the day you're having your head bound again. Maybe you'll be snagging one of those ultra-chic dragon fruit shapes. Narrow at the base, rising majestically to a point. Forget about breakfast. Securing that perfect skull is the priority. Your parents, who have clearly elevated the art of head molding to a new level, are standing over you with what looks like a medieval toolkit. Think of it as DIY cranial kits before Pinterest became a thing. You can hear the faint echo of long-forgotten wisdom. No pain, no gain. They chant while holding a ceremonial board that looks suspiciously like it was stolen from a medieval IKEA. Now let's talk about the actual process. Picture a room illuminated by flickering candles, where your head is swathed in cloth, and the subtle sound of muttering reminders fills the air. Trust the process, keep calm and elongate. And you're lying there, praying the neighbors don't catch a glimpse, because what's worse than gossip spreading about your head, looking like a stylish souffle gone wrong? You wince slightly as the boards are tightened around your petite cranium, hoping they don't accidentally send you off to a local beauty show, where you may end up crowned best in length. A title that certainly won't get you a free VIP pass for anything except maybe a freestanding electric shock. The villagers just might form a cult around your head shape after all. What else can they focus on? But let's pause for a moment. Is this method really about beauty, or is it just an early version of competitive parenting, where parents are zealously serving up head envy daily? You can almost hear them chatter over market stalls. Oh, did you see Hubert? His son's elongated skull is practically a work of art. Meanwhile, Claudia's child looks like they rolled out of bed into a meat grinder. What a tragedy! As you survey your growing kingdom of elongated celebs, you can smell the metaphorical blood in the water, or at least it's the scent of fear wafting through the town square. Mother Nature's done it again, as entire clans begin to endorse various skull shapes. Ah, the chic ellipses are definitely in this year. Abandon those silly square heads. Fast forward to your teenage years. Let's imagine you've got this head so finely tuned for aesthetics, it's practically on par with a cocoa bean pod. Suddenly, teenagers are flocking around, eager to flaunt the latest hairstyles that emphasize your glorious cranial shape. Check out my new hair fluff. I'm going for the German Shepherd meets Renaissance painting vibe, they say, desperately trying to compete with your majestic cranium. But imagine how awkward dates would be. So, like your head is elongated, does it have an Instagram page? You might hear that special someone whisper, and you can practically feel the weight of centuries of societal standards resting heavily on your jawline. Oh yeah, I mean, it's not exactly stylish to say, hey, I shaped my head like a sexy applauding celery stalk, right? As you exit your teenage phase, everyone feels pressure to transform their beautiful towers into blank canvases. Festival crowds rival the excitement of a farmer's market, where people flaunt their elongated heads as proudly as modern influencers do with designer bags. Look at us, the big brain society on parade. But, hold on, what happens when current cultural norms dictate that square-headed people are the newest fashion statement? Your beautifully molded head becomes a relic, a fashionable embarrassment that might just get you a one-way ticket to the, gee, that's a different table at social gatherings. So, as you rest your head tonight, remember the follies of the past. We've traveled through time, witnessing the unbelievably obtuse ways humans have strived for beauty. You won't face any wooden boards tonight, just the gentle pillow cradling your dreams. How wonderfully comforting to know that whatever storm pops up, it's sure to be far less dramatic than cranial binding. Sweet dreams of glorious skulls await. Chapter 21. The Bizarre Bending of Beauty. Hey guys, welcome back to our little cozy corner of history, where every story is more absurd than the last. Tonight, we're about to embark on a journey more peculiar than trying to convince your cat that a cucumber isn't a snake. Artificial cranial shaping. Yes, you heard that right, your very own walk-in museum of ancient vanity, where families decided their beauty standard looked a lot more like a malnourished watermelon than a loaf of bread. But before we dive deeper into this romp through the minds that thought extra long cranium was a great fashion choice, here's the part where I'll humbly ask you to like, subscribe, and maybe even leave a cheeky comment only if you genuinely enjoy these historic shenanigans, of course. Now, picture this. You've woken up in a world where your most valuable feature is your head. No, not in a great ideas come from here way, but more of a how long is that noggin of yours kind of vibe. I mean, really, what did people talk about during dinner? Oh darling, your head really puts Hubert's to shame. It's positively Saturnesque. So grab your favorite blanket, dim the lights, and let's explore. Were you perhaps required to make cranium adjustments before you could even make it through a first date? Did you have daily sessions of cranial stretching that could curdle milk? What kind of summer hats would complement a head resembling an acorn? And what dress code did all the cool kids wear, not their actual clothes but the ones that could fit over their elongated heads? Did Prince Charming also have to check out his beloved's noggin before popping the question? Congratulations! You've just woken up in 2500 BCE, and the local beauty trend setting is translucent skin, big eyes, and oh yes, an elongated skull. A quick peek in the mirror tells you that today's outfit can qualify as a science experiment gone awry. What was once an ordinary head is now a roguishly odd mountain, more suited for a hiking expedition than a pep rally. As you shuffle your way through this brave new world, the first thing that hits you is the delightful aroma of beeswax mingled with an undertone of desperation. Crafty parents are busy wrapping their newborns' little heads in soft cloth, striving for that precisely perfect shape. It's like watching a bunch of overzealous carpenters who think they can convince lumber to grow into their desired form. The goal? That perfectly tapered look that would launch 1,000 compliments, or at least an awkward amount of stares during community gatherings. Now let's contemplate that morning ritual. Imagine being a kid, your only goal is to become the best at dangling from the monkey bars, but instead, you're strapped to your bed like you're in practice for a bungee jump. Be an adult, you can handle the pain. Your parents cheer, while they crank up the pressure on your emerging skull. A decidedly unathletic experience, if there ever was one. You might even joke to yourself, oh, sure. This feels just like a frequent visit to my dentist, except instead of a mere root canal, I'm just watching my future get wrapped in gauze. As you dodge relatives' scrutinizing glances at their next family gathering, note the debate swirling around on baby cranium designs, like they're discussing the latest smartphone features. Uh-oh, look at Hubert's new shape. Love the dragon fruit vibes. But Claudine's kid? Thanks, but I'll pass. I'm not so sure about that mushroom head trend. Let's face it, cranial fashion became the ultimate competitive sport, where the true value of the head could rival the fanciest trophy in a gold-embossed case. As your elongated adolescence progresses, you may find yourself grappling with the weight of societal expectations. Is it just me, or does the local Beauty and the Brain Club sound a little too much like a big, scripted reality show? You're working hard to stand out and flaunt your extraordinary appearance when, suddenly, rumors surface that square heads are back. Panic! How do you explain that awkward transition from chic pastel pike to vintage bumper car? Furthermore, explore the hilarious mishaps of social life. Imagine your first dance in full swing. Teenagers swirl around while you remain immobile, fearing your hair might poke someone's eye out. Sweetie, can you lead this dance without knocking over the punch bowl? You might imagine the punch being sent flying through the air as you dodge epic cranial collisions, while your friends strategize their success. Stay away from the door, it looks like a can opener. Fast forward to moments where you'd finally break the rules, challenging the shape of your head like a rebel without a cranial cause. Suddenly, having a big noggin was synonymous with intelligence and brilliance, but also social isolation at the Sinsper's hottest parties. Well, darling, we'd invite you to dance, but we worry you might take out half the room. Maybe just stay by the punch bowl. And there you remain, an island of beauty, absurdity, and a slight hint of existential dread. As you snuggle into your pillows tonight, take comfort in knowing that while the pressures of past beauty standards brought some ridiculous brain-trusting ideas, there are no elongated binding rituals awaiting you. Instead, you can dream of the wild origins of beauty standards, perhaps even catching a glimpse of another absurd trend. Good night, and sweet dreams of beautifully bizarre histories. Chapter 22. The Lux Lather of Lunacy. Hey guys, welcome back to the luxurious world of beauty standards that are simultaneously grand and ridiculous, like attempting to wear a full suit of armor while also trying to fit into your favorite vintage jeans. Tonight, we're diving into the whims of the vanity-obsessed, where the quest for aesthetics has led humanity down some truly absurd avenues, like a skincare routine that resembles a mad scientist's lab more than your average morning regimen. Ah, yes, the grand age of beauty when people were willing to risk everything, including their health, for an unattainable glow. But before we splash into the face creams that could be mistaken for witch potions, here's your friendly reminder to like, subscribe, and drop a comment if this history tickles your fancy, even if it's just to tell me that you think my storytelling could use a little less sass, or maybe just more. Now, picture this: you, standing in a bathroom that glows, brighter than a UFO touched down mid-sneeze. You reach for a jar labeled in elegant French script with more consonants than your last family reunion had uninvited guests. Does the label say, revitalizing essence of frog tongue, or age-defying elixir of timelessness? Who knows? Maybe you should have just brought some soap and a lit candle, right? As you glance into the mirror, your reflection stares back, unsure of how many products it will take to achieve those natural results. Have you ever considered that maybe no one wants you to look like a dewy radish? Yet, here you are, contemplating how you'd feel if ancient Romans were judging your skincare choices alongside your hairdo. Imagine them saying, "For the love of Jupiter, is that the latest trend? Infusing your serum with mashed avocados." Now, let's take a moment and reflect figuratively and literally on how your daily life might unnaturally mirror that of your ancestors from who knows when. Have you ever thought about how people used actual animal fat as moisturizer? Imagine slathering yourself in suet, inviting every stray dog in town to join the ensemble. Oh, I hear you love my new scent. It's a little bit sheep, a touch of goose, and a hint of desperation. The local wildlife would not take that declaration lightly. But let's ease into the absurd drama of morning skincare routines starting anytime around 10,000 BCE. You're probably thinking, skincare in ancient times, do they even have mirrors? Spoiler alert. Yes, they had mirrors made from polished bronze, but still, reflectivity wasn't quite the same as scrolling through your phone while you check your pores. Flash forward to that momentous day in early modern Europe, when women proudly introduced the intriguing concept of la belle au teint fraise. Translation: the paler, the better. What was on your dinner plate? Poisonous white lead mixed with some meticulously ground up pearls, and guess what? That delightful cocktail was not for the faint of heart. Applying this concoction was about as safe as sticking forks in electrical outlets. Terribly exciting, but also likely to cause a nasty shock, or worse. Let's talk about how anyone with well-cooked lead-based makeup might casually stroll through town, oblivious of the fact that they look like a ghostly apparition auditioning for a horror film. You might ask yourself, was that really the best that humanity could do when it came to beauty? But let's be serious. In the quest for eternal youth, some people mistook their skin for an artisanal canvas, often much to their own demise. Imagine your great-great-great-grandmother, let's call her Agnes, waking up in the 18th century. She decides it's simply not enough to look good, she must also be mildly tragic. So, she concocts a facial cream using poison ivy, the tears of a nightingale, and just a sprinkle of her neighbor's embarrassing secrets, because let's face it, nothing creates radiance quite like the hypothetical suffering of others. Is she preparing herself for a date, or secretly trying to win a bet with her sister? The stakes were high, and perhaps slightly inflated by choice. Now, let's pause to think about the practicality. Ever tried applying face cream while holding a mirror with one hand and simultaneously deflecting your neighbor's judgmental glances with the other? Good luck with that. Seriously, you might question whether that vintage hat lady lives nearby, because her snide comment about, "What are you thinking, dear?" just sent shivers in your bones akin to a winter frost. Side note, that's not ice-cold fear, but rather her suggestion that perhaps your routine is an elaborate joke the universe concocted out of sheer irony. Oh, and now picture yourself as the cruel paradox of beauty standards donning corsets so tight they could double as a medieval torture device. And let's not mention those extravagant wigs. The volume is more extravagant than a disco ball at a 70 seconds party. You could fit an entire meadow of butterflies in there. Just imagine the horrified flies buzzing around, thinking, "Am I pioneering a new species here?" Or am I dreaming of a garden party? Before you drift off to sleep, consider this. Beauty is fleeting, but the sweaty memory of squeezing yourself into that last ounce of vintage fabric, that, my friend, is eternal. Here's to wondering what kind of absurdity humanity will twist into beauty standards next. Good night, and may your dreams be filled with the wildest imaginings of those assumptions about beauty that have always been completely cracked. Chapter 23: Syringus, Suffering, and Stylish Snaffers. Hey guys! Welcome back to our journey through the whimsically chaotic world of beauty standards that have ranged from downright ludicrous to shockingly hazardous, like wearing a corset that could double as medieval body armor while trying to sip tea without spilling it. Tonight, we'll explore the lengths to which humans have gone for vanity, revealing practices that make your last skincare routine seem positively safe. Spoiler alert, it wasn't. But before we inject ourselves into the details, pun intended, let me remind you to hit that like button and subscribe if you must, of course. Leave us a comment about your favorite beauty disaster. Was it that time you tried to reshape your eyebrows with a cheese grater or went to bed with an entire avocado mask in your hair? Oh, the stories we could share. Now that you're all settled in, dim the lights, grab your favorite pillow, and prepare for a fabulous nod to history's most extravagant beauty rituals. Ever wonder how many ancient Egyptians were secretly thinking, if I don't look like a divine being by morning, what's the point of all this? Or how medieval nobles kept squabbling over whose powdered wig was taller and more likely to attract a flock of birds. Let's whisk ourselves back to a time when beauty was as desirable as it was dangerous. Picture this, it's 10,000 BCE, and you've just awoken in the Neolithic period, staring at the unsightly thing they call a mirror, a polished piece of obsidian that tells you the harsh truth, while likely reflecting more dirt than elegance. Congratulations! You're about to discover that beauty has always been a battlefield, one where the weapons range from sharpened stones to dubious concoctions. In this era, remember that the idea of filling your face didn't revolve around fancy fillers and syringes. No, dear listener, we're talking about a more direct, dare I say, brutal approach. Want to remove those laughter lines? Some might opt for a quaint ritual involving the extraction of humors through trepanation, or, just cracking open your skull. Talk about a DIY facelift. Let's be real though, looking fabulous in 10,000 BCE means you're probably sporting more mud and pollen than any highlighter or bronzer could offer. Leap ahead a few millennia, and suddenly we find ourselves in the sumptuous but equally ridiculous Roman Empire. Women there were known for slathering their faces in lead-based makeup that may have had the consistency of syrup. If you ever wondered how many fingers it took to create that just crawled out of a tomb, look, it was a lot. They may have convinced themselves they looked like portraits painted by the finest artists, but really, my dear friend, they probably resembled a statue left out in the rain, a masterpiece gone wrong. Now, let's discuss the birth of the modern syringe compared to the ancient tools they once used in their cosmetic endeavors. Imagine a modern plastic syringe filled with something that promises to erase your forehead wrinkles, juxtaposed with an ancient Egyptian contraption that looks like it was designed after a night of binge drinking. Picture a hollow reed, perhaps, or a tiny bronze tool, resembling something a treasure hunter might dig up in your grandmother's attic, deeply suspect and yet likely to be misplaced in the process of, ironically, beautification. Fast forward to the Renaissance period. Ciao, it's me, a modern beauty, you might say, as you stroll down streets lined with frescoes and unsettlingly fashionable people with ruffs so large they could double as hot air balloons. Here, the beauty game reached a new level of absurdity, because nothing says, "I've got my life together," like a complexion doused in mercury. Yup, that's right. Women and some men, too, let's be fair, use this toxic substance in hopes of achieving a radiant glow. Spoiler alert, all they ended up with was a trip to the grave, and even then, they probably looked fabulous in the process. Just when you think it can't get any worse, the 19th century ushers in a wave of cosmetic bottling that rivals the local apothecary. Women began experimenting with beauty elixirs that included everything from nightingale droppings to arsenic. We're talking about beauty tips that could either make you the belle of the ball or the subject of an eerie ghost story. In hindsight, The real horror was that some truly believed a daily dose of toxins could help them live their best life. A twisted assertion, if there ever was one. As you ponder how far society has come in terms of beauty, it's hard not to chuckle at the absurdity of it all. Imagine telling a modern-day influencer that her layering 5 different products containing more ingredients than a chemistry set pales in comparison to Cleopatra's daily routine of snake venom and crushed beetles. You might hear a collective gasp or, perhaps, a hashtag sprouting out of their mouth like a dramatic flower blooming in the desert. So, as you slip into the soothing embrace of restful slumber, take a moment to appreciate our chaotic evolution of beauty. From lead-laden pastes to digitally perfected selfies, we've traversed an incredible landscape where each era's beauty ideals were beautifully bonkers. Who knows what the future holds? Maybe humanity will simply decide that looking like a human potato is the next big thing. Good night, dear listener, and may your dreams be filled with the delightful absurdities of beauty standards past and present, because while trends may come and go, laughter, my friend, is forever. Chapter 24. Mirrors, Mirth, and the Reflective Rat Race. Hey guys, welcome back to yet another delightful dive into the bizarre world of beauty standards. Tonight, we explore a topic as murky as a forgotten pond, the captivating chaos of what it means to be considered beautiful throughout the ages. Prepare yourself for a journey deeper than your last relationship and more absurd than a fruitcake at a wedding. Before we dive in, please give that like button a gentle tap and consider subscribing only if you truly enjoy this, of course. After all, we wouldn't want to end up like a pair of rogue eyebrows, just trying to make sense of our existence in a world obsessed with symmetry. Now, dim those lights, put on your favorite fan, and cozy up like a cat in a sunbeam, a very smug, very fastidious cat, mind you. Have you ever wondered what it's like to gaze into a mirror in the year 10,000 BCE? Would you feel alluring, or just an overwhelming urge to find a rock to toss at your reflection? Did people fashion combs from antlers, or were they too busy worrying about finding dinner for the night to care about their do? Congratulations. You've just woken up in the enchanting yet rudimentary era of early human civilization, where beauty is less about gloss and more about grit. The first thing you see is, well, your own reflection in a somewhat dubious mirror, a piece of polished obsidian. Your face is likely coated with a blend of dirt, some mud, and perhaps a smattering of pollen, creating a look that can only be described as earthy chic, or oops, I had a dust bath. Now let's talk about that ancient mirror, the kind that wouldn't win any awards for clarity. You squint at your reflection, wondering if this is the morning horror phase we all dread, or if perhaps your charming visage is just obscured by the crust of either breakfast or the previous night's escapades. But what truly hits is the realization that this reflection holds, not the light of physical beauty, but something far deeper qualities, like kindness, curiosity, and courage shimmer below the surface. You're going for depth here, not just a flawless complexion. Situate yourself more firmly in this ancient setting. The air is filled with the fragrance of burning sage and the faint sound of crickets. Your fellow nomads are huddled near a fire, clumsily applying various herb-infused mud concoctions to their faces, though you can't really tell if they're trying to enhance their beauty or frighten off rival hunter-gatherers. They gesture enthusiastically toward an impressively large mammoth bone dangling from a tree, because who doesn't think that a mammoth bone necklace totally says, I value ancient resources and fashion icon. Let's cast our nets a little further and leap into the wild world of ancient Egypt, the epitome of beauty standards that definitely wouldn't pass a modern-day health inspection. You soon find yourself among painted faces adorned with kohl, as residents bustle around, all desperately trying to look like the divine beings they idolize. Imagine walking into a bustling bazaar and being bombarded with a sales pitch for snake venom eye cream because, of course, you want your eyes to have just that glint of danger mixed with a hint of mystique. Need some extra luster? Just add a side of crushed beetles, and you're set for the evening. Fast forward a few millennia to Rome, where the concept of beauty reaches new absurd heights. You can hear the sound of the Roman Forum bustling, filled with banter about the latest trends in lead-laden beauty products. You eagerly observe women applying a lead-based makeup, because those wrinkles from worrying about invasions and market crashes must be masked with something more toxic than your last breakup. And you thought your high school prom night had pressure. As we navigate to the Renaissance, the colors are vibrant, the fashion extravagant, and the beauty ideals as hazardous as they come. Imagine stepping into a world where beauty meant slathering yourself with a mercury-laden face mask because radiance apparently meant something less healthy than caution. You casually wonder how many people left the beauty salons strutting their stuff, only to be carded at death's door. I mean, talk about a dramatic flair for the tragic. But wait, we aren't done yet. The 19th century brings you a cornucopia of dubious beauty elixirs. Nightingale droppings and arsenic become all the rage, and you find yourself marveling at the lengths people will go to, because what's a little internal chaos for external beauty? Right? Surely, you think, the only thing radical about radical beauty treatments should be the unwillingness to drop into danger. And just when you think this captivating beauty saga has reached its peak, consider this. Throughout the centuries, common themes emerge like poorly designed historical sitcoms. What was once fashionable becomes utterly ludicrous in retrospect. You look around at your friends, who are fiddling with filters and fancy skincare routines, and you can't help but wonder if they'd pass muster in the beauty absurdity contest of ages gone by. As you descend into the comforting realms of night, and blanket yourself with thoughts of beauty's whimsical evolution, remind yourself, what's truly priceless isn't the reflection in the mirror, but the rich tapestry of choices, experiences, and maybe just a speck of absurd humor that lightens our lives. Because, if history has proven anything, it's that while beauty trends may change, laughter stays timeless, and we could all probably use a little more humor and kindness, curiosity, and courage throughout our journeys. Good night, dear listener. May your dreams be rich with reflections of laughter and history's quirks. After all, if fashion is a fickle friend, laughter is a true companion, always there, never asking to be your mirror image. Chapter 25, Reflections on Regrets and Ridiculousness. Hey guys, welcome back to another delightful journey through the snazzy yet slightly scandalous world of beauty standards across the ages. Tonight, we revisit a question that has echoed through time, much like your aunt's unsolicited advice during family gatherings. Am I enough? Prepare to dive into the splendor and absurdity woven into the very fabric of human vanity. But first, if this tickles your fancy even in the slightest, go ahead and give that like button a gentle poke. Subscribe if you really dig this sort of meandering adventure through history. Just remember, we don't want to end up being like a poorly placed wig on a medieval lord. And trust me, there are plenty of those. Now, dim those lights, turn on your favorite fan, and nestle yourself into an ultra-comfy position reminiscent of a lounging cat contemplating the meaning of life, or in your case, the world's most baffling beauty standards ever. Wondered what it would be like to stand before a reflection that doesn't just reflect, oh no, but questions your very existence? How about peering deep into a polished bronze mirror in ancient Greece, contemplating the stress of a toga party, or worrying if your face would outshine the actual sculptures? Congratulations! You've just woken up in an era spanning from 10,000 BCE to the early 1900s CE. You're surrounded by a rather eclectic crowd, each representing a multitude of civilizations from the snazzy ancient Egyptians to the hilariously absurd Victorian age. Here, humans have banded together in front of mirrors, asking that age-old question, am I enough? And the answer, dear dreamer, is universally a resounding yes. Yes, you were born enough, even if your choice of eyeliner resembles a war paint debacle. Picture this. Prehistoric folk, proudly preening, their hair fashioned into elaborate dreadlocks, maybe even accessorized with feathers, or let's be honest, whatever was lying around at the time. The air is scented with smoke from a nearby fire. The sound of men and women grunting at their reflections is somehow both musical and alarming. Do you think I have enough berries in my hair? One asks another, while the friends stare at their own reflections. A mix of confusion and pure vanity, swirling as thickly as the smoke through the air. Was there even a berry chic look back then, or was that just a miscalculated breakfast decision? As we traipse through the annals of history, we arrive in ancient Egypt, where beauty standards were dictated by the need to impress the gods and avoid being smitten by a scornful pharaoh. Hey, no pressure. Here's a fun fact. The eye makeup that legendary beauties wore, composed of coal and sometimes even crushed beetles, had them looking heavenly. Picture this. Brothers and sisters, standing in throngs arguing over whose eyeliner is most smudged, as if their very lives depended on whether their eyes could rival the charm of the Nile at sunset. Is my eyeshadow balanced with the cosmic scales of beauty? One might ponder aloud. Then it's off to Rome, where we find ourselves caught in a web of lead-based makeup. Yes, lead, the very same stuff that you wouldn't let anywhere near your plumbing today. Imagine a bustling marketplace where women take a moment from their daily grind to apply their latest vintage dangerous beauty products, while nearby politicians debate who's really winning the war for prettiness. Why are you sweating? Someone asks. Because I've just applied half a pound of toxic sludge to my face. Fast forward a few centuries, hello, Renaissance. Here, beauty is not shy. Oh no, it is wearing an extravagant dress made from fabric so elaborate it could warrant a chronic case of heat stroke. Women huddle together, gossiping about the latest trend, the mercury-infused face cream. One application, and you'll look positively radiant, until your body gives out from the mercury poisoning. They laugh, knowing full well their futures are bright, until, you know, they're not. And just as your crinkled brows begin to smoothen over that ghastly imagery, we stumble upon the 19th century, a time when beauty could be as lethal as a Victorian corset. Ah, the infamous beauty elixirs of the day, arsenic-laden powders and nightingale droppings were all the rage. You, standing beside these hopefuls, might wonder, will I take internal poison for outer beauty today? Why yes, thank you very much. It's the kind of self-care routine that becomes a social experiment gone wrong. And as you look around at this kaleidoscope of humanity, all striving for an ideal that might make them feel utterly inadequate, a thought leaps out. Being enough is a reflection, not just of external beauty, but of the constant search for acceptance amid the sea of bizarre trends. Throughout history, one could find comfort in the realization that no matter the standards of beauty, everyone wrestles with the same question in front of the mirror: am I enough? And the answer, dear friend, remains a heartwarming yes. As you drift into the gentle embrace of sleep, remember that while beauty standards may ebb and flow like the tides, laughter finds a permanent place on the shores of our experiences, and that, my dear listeners, is worth cherishing. Good night. May your dreams be free from poisonous powders and fraught beauty pressures, and may you wake up tomorrow feeling positively delightful in your own unique and beautifully imperfect skin. And now, as the last echoes of ancient vanity fade into the quiet corners of your mind, we slowly drift back from the strange, painful, hilarious world of beauty standards gone wildly wrong. Tonight, you walked alongside women who risked their eyesight for brighter eyes, their skin for a pale glow, their feet for a single, fragile ideal of grace. You witnessed queens, mothers, daughters, and dreamers suffer splinters, poison, cramped bones, and smoldering hot irons, all in the name of being seen, admired, or simply accepted. But you also saw their resilience, their humor, their stubborn, unshakable will to survive each day in a world far harsher, stranger, and smellier than ours. These people lived with rituals that burned, crushed, blinded, and blistered, and yet they still laughed, still loved, still found beauty in a world that often made none. They joked with friends as they painted their faces with dangerous powders, gossiped while their feet were wrapped in silk and pain, and learned to carry their suffering with a kind of grace that only those who endure too much ever learn. And, as you lie in your warm bed, with soft blankets, safe lights, clean air, and skincare that doesn't contain crocodile dung, take a slow breath of gratitude. For comfort, for warmth, for a world where beauty no longer demands your bones or your vision. Let it all soften now, the noise of the day, the weight of the world, the worries still lingering at the edges of your thoughts. You've heard enough stories for tonight. You've traveled far enough. So close your eyes, sink into the quiet, and drift gently into sleep, safe, warm, and untouched by the poisons of the past. Good night.